Basketball Friday night in West Virginia. For the next 3 hours, it's high school basketball from across the Mountain State. Live from Marshall University, here's your host, Ryan Epling.
Welcome to Basketball Friday night in West Virginia. Ryan Epling, Bill Cornwell, happy to have you along with us. Episode 99, Bill.
Next week we get to go to triple digits with this show, and we're looking forward to it. And I know we're planning some special stuff next week, so it should be a lot of fun.
Next week will definitely be a show unlike any other that we've had to this point. We're looking forward to all of that. Bill, we're in a key part of the season right now. Girls basketball sectional alignments are out. Yep. Seedings are out. Some games taking place tonight.
There are games tonight, games tomorrow, starting some of the girls sectionals, and then it really kicks in Monday. A lot of games, and by the end of the next week, we're going to have some folks set up for regional finals.
Yeah, it's just, again, as we always say, it's hard to believe because we're already that far along into the season. This is the 21st day of February.
And then, of course, next week, during the week, we will find out sectional seedings on the boys' side.
Yeah, those will come out in the upcoming week. You can always go to basketballnight.com. We'll get them up on the website as soon as we get them. I believe that's Tuesday that comes out.
Yeah.
But still, that's going to matter so much in a couple of these sections. Bill, Class AA, over the course of the past week, Shady Spring loses for the first time.
Hard to believe. That's been one of the great stories this year, and Shady Spring has just been almost. Although there's a few games lately where they've been kind of cutting it close, and you know sometimes that comes to bite you, and it finally did. But still, they're having a great season, and obviously everybody around the state sees what they're doing and knows that they could really possibly be a big-time force in Charleston when the time comes.
You look at the top of AA in particular. You got Chapmanville, Logan, Robert C. Byrd, Bluefield, Shady Spring.
Oh, it's loaded.
If it falls right in place, any of those 5 teams can win it all.
You know, right now, just looking face value, Ryan, when you think of the teams just might be in Charleston on the AA side of the boys tournament, maybe the best of the 3 classes. That might be the most competitive, and that might be the one that gets most of the attention. Usually the AAA gets the attention because of the bigger schools and bigger population bases, but this year, just for the quality of the basketball, might be the AA.
It may, and that is shaping up to be an outstanding state tournament. Still a few weeks away, though, at the Charleston Coliseum and Convention Center. Looking forward to all of that. Of course, the girls' tournament's coming up in just a couple of weeks. My goodness, where's it all gone? It's almost over. But nonetheless, Bill, we'll talk in a couple of moments with the head coach of the Webster County boys, the reigning Class A state champions, Michael Gray. We will also talk with Brian Sexton. He is a broadcaster for Calvary Baptist Academy and the West Virginia Christian Athletic Tournament going on this weekend in Summersville. A lot of interesting games out of that we'll talk about. So a whole lot to talk about on this Basketball Friday night in West Virginia. And thankfully, basketball is the top of the topics this week, and that's what we like. It's been a much better week for West Virginia high school basketball. We're going to tie some things together here tonight that you'll appreciate too. And, Joe Linville will be with us in our next hour. He's making his way here right now. And
he's en route.
Yes, he is en route, but we knew that he wouldn't be able to be here until about 10 o'clock. So Joe will join us a little bit later on, and our entire cast of characters that comes in throughout the course of the show will be here as well. But we know that you are here looking for scores. So let's get our first check of the basketballnight.com scoreboard. Looking for scores, look no more. Visit basketballnight.com. Bill, take it away with the boys' scores.
All right, boys' scores. Not many finals, but we will give you finals we do have and some of the partials that we do have as well. A final, though, in the MSAC 9th place game on the boys' side. A nice win for Lance Sutherland and the Hurricane Redskins. They beat Parkersburg 62-51. It was East Hardy beating Moorfield this evening by a score of 48-35. Wayne Pioneers fall to Chapmanville 105-52. In the third quarter score, Tug Valley beating Charleston Catholic. Or actually, Charleston Catholic's leading there 38-32. Final, Kaiser beats Allegheny, Maryland 73-54. In the first quarter score, Greenbrier East over Oak Hill 20-10. Late in the contest, fourth quarter, Martinsburg beating Hedgesville 47-40. And into the final score there, looking like we're going to overtime. Lincoln County and Mingo Central, they're tied at 57. Sissonville beat Logan, or actually Logan wins tonight, that is, 71-58. Wildcats get the win over the Indians. It was Morgantown big time over the Fairmont Senior Polar Bears, 72-33. Mohegans win that one. In the first quarter score, Parkersburg South with a 12-4 lead over Lindsley. Bridgeport falls to Robert C. Byrd tonight, 53-45. Also an overtime game coming up. Scott and Nitro, they're tied at 76. Spring Mills in the third quarter leading Musselman 37-28. Washington, a halftime score, beating Jefferson 39-24. Final score, Tulsa falls to the West Carter Comets 97-75. West Carter, Kentucky, that is. Halftime score, Shady Springs over Westside 38-28. Bluefield tonight beats Wyoming East big time, 94-44. Ryan.
Girls basketball scores, and we have to differentiate these because some are regular season, some are sectional games. We'll start with the sectional games. Right now we have one girls sectional final. Williamstown in Region 4, Section 1 of Class Single A defeats Wirt County 83-44. That means Wirt County season ends at 4-19. As far as I can tell, Bill, that's the first team to wrap up its 2019-2020 season.
That's it.
Also tonight, regular season games. The MSAC ninth place game, Riverside defeats Capital 49-29. Also in the regular season and a final, Frankfort is 20-1. The Falcons defeat Grafton tonight 73-47. Still looking for a couple of sectional girls games, Ravenswood and Wahama, and Valley Wetzel and Hundred. So we're looking to get those scores, and that is a check of your basketballnight.com scoreboard. Anything stick out to you, Bill, before we go to the phone lines?
Really, nothing major, but that was a resounding win tonight by Morgantown over Fairmont. We know Fairmont's had a struggle this year, but still, that was really a lopsided victory for the Mohegans, and that was an interesting win for a out-of-state team, I got to say. And the reason I say this, West Carter beating Tulsa tonight, and if you were watching ESPN a couple of nights ago, you know about West Carter, Kentucky, because they were the team that was victimized by that 50-foot buzzer beater by Cole Villers of Ashland, Kentucky Tomcats, to win that game. And, of course, Ashland here in the Huntington border area finishes their regular season 28-0. First time in 92 years that school has gone undefeated in the regular season. But West Carter rebounds from that heartbreaking loss to Ashland with a big win tonight over Tulsa by 22.
And they did so despite Tulsa's Jesse Muncie scoring 47 points tonight. So it's still some outstanding individual efforts and a good team effort. But, man, West Carter did not show any ill effects from that disheartening loss earlier in the week. Webster County's boys had the magical unbeaten run a year ago, taking it all the way to Charleston and claiming the Class Single A state championship. A lot of changes in terms of the way things have gone for Webster County this year. The Highlanders are 14-7 this season. Not necessarily as much pressure maybe from the outside. I don't know if who our next guest will agree with that or not. Michael Gray is the head coach of the Highlanders. He joins us now on Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. First off, Coach, welcome back to the program.
Hey, guys. How are you guys doing?
Doing well, doing well. Your basketball team coming off of that magical season. And then this year started out pretty well, but you've had your bumps across the way as the season's gone along. That's no surprise. But another 14-7 campaign, that's getting it done.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at our schedule, I boosted our schedule up a little bit, and maybe a little bit too much for this young team. But you got to test these kids and see what they can do through the season, because we know it all comes down to the sectional regions. So, but yeah, they've played some really good games, and we give some games away that we probably should have won. But they've run through the year, and hopefully they'll make them strong here coming the next couple of weeks.
And won 5 out of 6 games. Now, tell me a little bit about how things are going this year, because I understand in a community, and Webster County being kind of spread out, it still has a community feel with only one school in it and being a single A-size school. Last year was the year, a year that was kind of built toward for a few years. Now it's the year after. You got to keep going. Tell me about how things have changed for you over the course of the past year.
For me, I'm still in the same routine, working and coaching. I think we're still getting a lot of fans out, but the fans are still excited about last year's team. You hear them talk a lot at games and stuff like that. But they're kind of anxious to see what this year's team can do also. And we've always had really good community support. And it's changed for me. Day in, day out, I think about that championship all the time. Especially with my son being involved, and it's just been a great experience. And hopefully someday we can do it again.
Absolutely. And you talk about a ball club that, as I said, has won 5 of its last 6 games, coming off of a 17-point win over Calhoun County earlier in the week, getting ready for the LKC championship tomorrow against one of single A's powerhouses in Williamstown.
Yeah, we got to watch Williamstown at West Virginia State when we played Trinity there, and really good team, shoot the ball really well, and got some big guys. And these kids are ready. We had a really good practice this week. With this team, you just don't know. Sometimes we can't put 4 quarters together. Sometimes we play really good 3 quarters, and we got to learn how to finish the game sometimes. And but I think these kids are ready to go play tomorrow. We shoot the ball really well. We space teams really well, and we can move it up and down the court. So at times we can score 90 points a game. So we're excited to go tomorrow, and we won the LKC last year, and we're excited to see what we can do tomorrow against the number 1 team in the state.
Coach Ryan and I mentioned the fact that coming out next week, those sectional pairings will be announced, the seedings and so forth, and of course, obviously, that's the sign that postseason is basically here. You talk about the inconsistencies you've had with your club this year, but you feel overall maybe you're kind of ramping up to be where you need to be when that postseason arrives.
Yeah, I've had several people ask me why I made the schedule so tough, and I tell them it's for the next couple of weeks. We've got Greater Beckley and Charleston Catholic in our region, so if we're gonna get a state run, we're gonna have to learn to play probably 2 of the top 5 teams in the state that's in our region. So, we've got to be prepared for those teams. So there's no need to dodge them during the season. You want to be prepared right now. So, and we've got better. We played Greater Beckley last time. We played them pretty good, and we were only down 9 in the 3rd period against Charleston Catholic and let that one get away. So, I think these kids it'll help them grow this week, and hopefully we can get by that game tomorrow and have a good win and win a championship. And probably going to end up seeing, if everything goes right, we could play Charleston Catholic and Greater Beckley again before it's over with.
Should be a lot of fun as we wind down the season. Michael Gray, head coach of the Webster County boys basketball team. Thanks so much for joining us. And I know it's been, like I said, it's been a whirlwind year. It's been a fantastic past 365 days for you, and we certainly wish you and the Highlanders the best in the postseason this year.
Thank you guys for having me on.
All right. Again, Michael Gray, head coach of the Webster County Highlanders. The West Virginia Christian Athletic Tournament is going on right now in Summersville, and that's a great event. Bill, that's one of those events that I know a lot of people don't go to because those aren't necessarily community schools. They are, but they're kind of their own community.
And they are their own community, and we really started giving the West Virginia Cats some love last year on our show, and the reason that we did that was a guy that I know we're going to bring on here in a moment, Brian Sexton. But I know we've been amazed both on the boys and the girls side at some of the competition in the Christian schools this year, and so many of them now are testing themselves. Especially, we certainly talked about the girls from Grace Christian and what a great season they've had, and they've been out testing themselves with going against public schools, and more of the Christian schools are doing that. And it certainly, I think it increases their edge, increases their quality as that they go on the court. And that's being seen this weekend in Summersville at that state tournament.
And the girls' side of it is going on right now. We'll talk about Bryce Sexton in just a minute. The girls' side of it going on right now. Grace Christian picking up a win over Mercer Christian today in the semifinals. Elk Valley Christian getting a win over Cross Lanes Christian. So the championship game tomorrow of the girls' West Virginia Christian Athletic Tournament will be Grace Christian out of Huntington and Elk Valley Christian. They'll do battle in the girls' tournament, Elk Valley Christian out of Elkview, West Virginia. And so the consolation game will be between Mercer Christian Academy. That used to be such a strong girls program. It used to basically roll through Class Single A. Remember, it seemed like an endless number of Wilkersons that came through there a while ago. And they are in the consolation game against Cross Lanes Christian. So that's going on with the girls' Christian Athletic Tournament. We'll talk much more about that later on. You'll understand why when we get there. And we'll also talk about the boys' tournament when we come back. We'll talk with Brian Sexton after this. This is break one of Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia here on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
For scores online, all of them in West Virginia, visit basketballnight.com. Streaming video live from the studios at Marshall University, visit basketballnight.com for video, audio, and the Basketball Friday Night scoreboard. Join us online, vote in this week's poll. You've got till 11:45 tonight to vote. This week's question, should home and away sections be clearly designated and separated in high school gyms? Go to basketballnight.com, vote in this week's poll. You'll see the poll on the right-hand side of the page. You've got till 11:45 tonight to vote. And, of course, we'll share the results with you at the end of the show this evening. Basketball Friday Night, West Virginia's high school basketball voice. High school basketball action in West Virginia is heating up as teams focus on a trip to the state championship in Charleston. Stay up to date with your local team and its progress all season long with Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia for 3 hours every Friday night from 9 to midnight. Listen online or on great radio stations throughout the Mountain State. Your sports writers, broadcasters, coaches, players, your calls recapping your team's game. Visit basketballnight.com for more details on how you can become part of the show. Follow us on Twitter at @hoops_roundup. At @hoops_roundup. Big shout out to some of our latest Twitter followers tonight. Josh Warricks, Cody Jenkins, Cody Brown, BJ Ellis, Buckets G, Brady Barron, Sheila Watson, Curtis Taylor, Brady for West Virginia, Noah, Teresa, and Heather Doyle. They're all part of the Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia family. Follow us on Twitter at @hoops_roundup, at @hoops_roundup. This is Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia.
Please join Marshall University's Dr. Carter G. Woodson Lyceum's celebration of other important events throughout the year. The Woodson Lyceum also supports programs specifically for teachers and students. Teachers should apply for the Lyceum Summer History Institute by March 13th. The History Institute is partly funded by a major grant from the West Virginia Humanities Council. Students should apply for positions in the W. Page Pitt School of Journalism and Mass Communications High School Journalism Workshop by May 30th. Applications for teachers and students are available at the Woodson Lyceum's website, marshall.edu/Woodson Lyceum. The Woodson Lyceum is a resource for this region on Black History Month and serves as a forum supporting quality education and freedom of the press.
Stay up to date on your favorite teams. Check out basketballnight.com. Now, back to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia with Bill Cornwell, Joe Linville, and Ryan Epling.
More scores coming into Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Girls score just in. Frankfort defeats Grafton 73-47. We had that. But the sectional game that I wanted to update you on, Valley Wetzel defeats 100 71-38 in the girls Class A Region 1 Section 1 tournament. Still looking for that Wahama Ravenswood girls game. Also looking for a couple of regular season girls games still. Boys scores, we know that they will come in as the night goes along. But speaking of boys scores, and we try to get the schedules for the West Virginia Christian Athletic Tournament, the various events that go on throughout the course of the year that we cover here on Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. And sometimes even our best efforts fail. But so when that happens, we go to the source. We go to someone who knows. Brian Sexton covers the West Virginia Christian Athletic Tournament for Calvary Baptist Academy. He joins us now on Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. And Brian, I feel totally unprepared right now because our efforts to find the full schedule for the boys have thus far failed. So I guess I'm kind of giving it to you to take it away and tell us about this year's boys tournament.
By the way, is that the dulcet tones, Ryan, of one Billy Cornwell?
It is.
You're right.
Good to hear from you, Brian.
My goodness, Billy, I couldn't be any happier if you and Ryan and myself were about to hit up an all-you-can-eat Chinese buffet.
My.
Wow. Well, now I'm done for this show. I'm hungry.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Guys, yeah, and I am, good evening, first of all, and greetings from Route 19 North, about to get on 79 back home. But I'm trying to get up-to-the-minute update, so let me go ahead and give you an up-to-the-minute update. 4:15 left in the semifinal game, fourth quarter. An upset brewing here at the WVCAT. The number one seed, Tays Valley Christian School, down 67-59 to Grace Christian.
Wow.
I'm trying to get updates, so I might have an update during the course of our conversation. So, yeah, you talk about, wow, Tays Valley Christian. I'll tell you guys real quick. Greater Beckley, and I heard the coach on a minute ago was talking about that team. Greater Beckley was supposed to be in our tournament. Of course, they're an SSAC school themselves, and at the last minute, they were the number one seed in this tournament. The last minute had to pull out, and so everybody moved up. So that made Tays Valley Christian, their varsity program, the number one seed, Calvary the 2 seed, and we may have an epic upset brewing. Grace Christian, I'll tell you this real quick. Grace Christian survived in advance, a la North Carolina State. They won in overtime last night over Mercer Christian. Eli Foster, their big 6'5" center, hit about a 25-footer as time expired to send that thing to overtime. And then Tommy Olajide hit a couple of big threes for them last night, and they got past Mercer. And they're now I've got an update, guys, real-time live on the air. 67-60 Grace, 2:18 left. So
wow.
As soon as I get a final, I'll holler back at you. But, our game, Calvary Baptist Academy in the semifinal game, we played Beth Haven Christian Academy out of the Logan area, and it wasn't nearly that tight. We won 87-57 tonight after getting past Wood County Christian 75-53 last night in the quarterfinals. And tell you what, guys, a name you're going to keep an eye on this weekend, and I'm sure when I talk to you next weekend, I may be talking about this young man from Calvary Baptist Academy as a tournament MVP, and that's 6'5" senior center Robert Clutter. He had 21 points tonight, 10 rebounds. Robert is averaging in the two tournament games, he's averaging 26.5 points and 9 rebounds for the two tournament games that we played. So we missed him for 9 games this season, but he's back with a vengeance.
Well, you let us know about Robert Clutter last year. I mean, he had an outstanding year last year, and sounds like after he's gotten over his injury time that he is actually picking it up at the right time.
Well, Billy, it's funny you mention that because, we've been very intentional. I've got to give our athletic director, Donald Pauly, a huge amount of credit because I heard you mention the young man, Isaac Muncie from Tulsa, having 47 tonight. We played Tulsa twice this year. We played them in a scrimmage, and then we played them down at Tulsa. And that young man can really shoot the basketball. And so, playing games like that, playing in the Ripley Holiday Tournament where Robert got injured, he cracked his ankle against Covenant. But playing those public schools has helped us prepare for where we are right now in WVCAT tournament play because, again, really, Ryan, it's David versus Goliath because the public schools have a lot more enrollment than we do, even on the single A level. but yet we're able to compete against double and triple A schools as well.
Yeah, that program has done a fantastic job, especially the last few years, but not just the last few years. And Brian, I do want to mention something here to you. I know you're going on 19 North, but if you would have taken 19 South for about a half hour, there's no reason to unless you were just really hungry, by the way. But to go through Fayetteville and to get near Lock Jelly, there's the OK Chinese Buffet. And I just wanted to make sure you were aware of that.
There, Ryan. I'm aware. I think I've eaten there before, but Mr. Cornwell will attest to my penchant for good food.
Yeah.
I have not seen a meal yet.
Yeah.
My nearly 48 years of life, I didn't like.
Yeah, Brian and I in past years have done ball games together, and believe me, we know where all the good places are in certain communities in this state.
Well, and Billy, I'll tell you this too. With the Christian Athletic Tournament, kind of segueing back to that, Grace Christian on the girls' side, man, they have been a juggernaut. You were exactly right about those girls. They had a tough one today against Mercer County. I watched a little bit of that game, but they are a force to be reckoned with. And I'll tell you something, they play a really competitive brand of basketball. Kirk Wells, Eric Hutchinson, and their staff have done an outstanding job. There's no reason why they couldn't be WVCAT tournament champions. By the way, 2:10 left to go. In the fourth quarter, Grace has opened up a 10-point lead on Tays Valley Christian School, 70-60. So, again, getting real-time scores on the air, my man.
Hey.
Keeping you updated in real time.
And Brian, you talk about Kirk Wells and the job he's done with the women, but credit to Dave Akers. They have played a tough schedule, very much as you mentioned with Calvary Christian. They've gone out and played a lot of public schools, and it's probably certainly toughened them.
Billy, I'm going to tell you something. They've got a young man named Eli Foster. I mentioned Eli a moment ago. My goodness, what a player this kid is. He's 6'5". He can take you outside, and he can stick one from 22, 23 feet, or he can take you inside. And if we get the chance to play them tomorrow night in the championship game, you're going to see a matchup of two of the state's most underrated big men, in Eli Foster and Robert Clutter. That'll be a matchup worth paying attention to because that young man can flat play. There is no question that Eli Foster is one talented young man there at Grace Christian School.
That's definitely a basketball team that, like you said, is trying to pull an upset. Are the boys here tonight in Summersville? And Brian Sexton, who has been so good to keep us updated on the West Virginia Christian Athletic Tournament. Thanks so much, Brian, and we look forward to hearing from you again next week. And give me one more score update. Can you do that?
Well, I'm not getting it, but I wanted to tell you real quick. This is for Calvary. I do have a score update. For Calvary Baptist Academy, this is 4 WVCAT championship games in 6 years. Big hats off to our head coach, David Spencer Jr., who's done a phenomenal job with that program. 53 seconds to play. Grace is up 73-65, so it looks like it'll be the Patriots and the Soldiers tomorrow night in Summersville for the WVCAT State Championship, and I look forward to coming on next Friday night and telling you guys all about it.
Sounds good. Brian Sexton, Calvary Baptist Academy broadcaster. Thanks so much for joining us. Have a safe trip home.
All right, Ryan. See you, Billy.
All right, and always appreciate Brian and all he does to help bring awareness to that, to the West Virginia Christian Athletic Tournament, which is a big event.
That's really an upset tonight if Grace Christian goes ahead and finish that off, which right now it looks like they're going to, because Tays Valley, they're folks around certainly the western part of the state know about the quality of their basketball, but Grace Christian, they've taken their lumps during the season, but they've also picked up some nice public school and other parochial school wins. For instance, they got a win this year against the St. Joe boys team, which is not a slouch team at all, coached by former Marshall player Ryan Taylor. Grace Christian beat them by a point.
Absolutely, and we're going to talk much more when we go on. We'll talk with Rodney Plumley, head coach of the Lincoln County boys basketball team. We'll talk with Bill Nestor, broadcaster of the Robert C. Byrd Eagles. But before we go to break, we've got a scoreboard update. Let's go over to the score desk and Marcus Constantino.
Thanks, Ryan. We actually have 2 overtime finals to tell you about. The Scott Skyhawks just getting the win over the Nitro Wildcats 89-85. As I said, that was in overtime. A big night for John Hamilton on senior night. He learned before the game he had surpassed all-time Skyhawks career scoring leader Travis Banks, and that record had been held since 2000. He used that for motivation to go off for 38 points in the win over Nitro, and also this just in, Lincoln County edging Mingo Central 72-65, also in overtime.
We'll have the victorious head coach of Lincoln County, Rodney Plumley, after this. This is Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia, break 2, all across the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
For scores online, all of them West Virginia, visit basketballnight.com. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate all the scores coming in, all the tweets. Lots of ways you can connect with the show and send us your information on your show. Also, send us pictures if you're watching right now. Lots of great pics. Send us your pics of your team, games, fans. We'd love to share that with everyone else. Send it to scores@basketballnight.com, scores@basketballnight.com. You can call us tonight. We'd love to hear about your game. Tell us about your sectionals, 855-784-6677, 855-784-6677. And always follow us on Twitter, @hoops_roundup, @hoops_roundup. Marshall's sports journalism graduates learn transferable skills that score competitive careers. It is time for you to get in the game. Critical thinking, communication, and commitment to accuracy are desired skills in an expanding job market. Sports journalism and sports communications careers are some of the most coveted positions in the country. The Marshall University School of Journalism and Mass Communications is ready and eager to help you start your journey. Learn more at marshall.edu/SOJMC. Don't forget our poll question. Join us online for that. This week's question: should home and away sections be clearly designated and separated in high school gyms? Go to basketballnight.com. You'll find the poll question on the right-hand side of the page. Shout out to our latest Twitter followers: Lori Q. Martin, Corey Taylor Strotterman, Allison, and West Virginia, Shannon Sharp. They're all part of the Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia family.
This is high school basketball's home for the Mountain State. Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia on the Fast Break Sports Network. Now, back to your hosts, Bill Cornwell, Joe Linville, and Ryan Epling.
9:33 on this Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Ryan Epling and Bill Cornwell with you. Joe Linville will join us a little bit later on in the program. Of course, you've already heard from Marcus Constantino. And again, the whole crew is here tonight as far as I know, which I say that is probably not true, but our crew works very hard behind the scenes, and they do so much of kind of putting the structure of things together with this show, with the website, basketballnight.com, the Twitter, our Twitter account, @hoops_roundup, our Facebook page. Basically, if you have any type of social media, you have access to watch this show, or at the very least, get the information that we can come from it with scores from all across West Virginia, especially as we get down into the beginning of the postseason. Girls sectional play starting tonight. Boys sectional play starts in 1 week. There are still some girls regular season games going on tonight as well. Next week will be a full week of girls postseason tournament play. Bill, it's already here. We talked about it all the time. But, wow, we are to the point now where the games that already mattered a lot start to get that little extra edge because, if you don't get to that sectional final, I mean, you're in a losers out type game.
Right. What, 2 or 3 weeks from now, we'll actually send Joe Linville down to the court side of the Charleston Coliseum and Convention Center as we begin 2 weeks of live cut-ins from there. So, I mean, it's approaching quite quickly.
we aren't that far away from it. That's for certain. And of course, some big boys basketball games going on tonight. You heard just before the break our score update that Lincoln County's boys had won tonight in overtime over Mingo Central, 72-65. Rodney Plumley is the head coach of the Panthers. He joins us now on Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. And Coach, how you feeling after that win tonight?
Just like pretty much all of Lincoln County right now. I'm pretty excited.
Big win for your basketball team over a very good team. You have a very good team as well that is just kind of trapped in what may be the toughest sectional in all of West Virginia.
I don't think there's any doubt about that. You know, for most of the year, you've had the biggest part of the year, 6 teams ranked in the top 12 or 13 throughout the year. And that's all 6 in one sectional. Of course, we were in the top 10 earlier, and then we had a injury to our point guard to put him out for the rest of the season, and that kind of derailed us a little bit. But I feel like we're finally getting our feet under us.
And Coach, your basketball team is 13-9, has won 2 straight, and you talked about the injury.
14-8.
14-8. Okay, there we go. We'll update that.
Sounds a little better.
I understand. We will fix that. We'll get with our crew back to fix that. They deal with so much. I understand. Every now and then one slips through.
I understand.
But your basketball team, you talked about losing your point guard, and your team was really kind of, I won't say cruising along, but we're off to a very good start. I got into the AA top 10, and then that injury happens in a come from behind win at Wayne back on January 21st, and it kind of forced you to hit the reset button for a little bit and kind of have to tinker some things.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, we just had to kind of reinvent ourselves. You know, not only was he our point guard, he was also one of our players that we did have back with experience. You know, we lost all 5 starters last year, and we had our 6th, 7th, and 8th guys that were sophomores kind of stepping into those roles this year. And he's also our leading scorer, so he's kind of like a double whammy that you got to replace and work around. And, you know, it's been a process. I think the kids defensively have been right there locked in through the whole process. But offensively, we spent, you know, the biggest part of the game since then trying to, we just struggled offensively.
Absolutely, and understandable.
I thought tonight it kind of broke loose and broke free a little bit, and we started. I mean, all 5 kids started the game. All of them was in double figures tonight. All of them were making big plays, big shots, and just really were clicking.
And that's good to do this time of year, especially. And you know, again, with a big win tonight over Mingo Central, that's a Mingo Central team that is dangerous to anybody in the postseason as well. People have talked about that. I think people have to talk about you guys being at least a threat because, you know, again, you guys are pretty good. That sectional is just ridiculously good. Yeah. You can get somebody on any given night, though.
Yeah, I think we can. You know, we've gotten a big win over Scott earlier in the year, and it's been a while, though, since we've gotten a big win. We've gotten, you know, plugged a few wins in over the last month or so, but we needed a win like tonight, an established, known, very good program, very good team. I mean, their guards are phenomenal. Hatfield boys, Drew Hatfield's, you know, he's a next-level player if he wanted to be. And a very good win. We needed it. It was great to see our kids celebrating a win like that and knowing they had accomplished something special.
Coach, a little something away from the basketball court. I wanted to ask you about, got to see you and your players at the Henderson Center a couple of weeks ago watching the Marshall, Louisiana Tech game. And, you know, it's nice to get away from the basketball court and enjoy something like that. That game had to inspire you, number one. And, you know, it was nice to see you guys together just kind of having a good time.
Yeah, you know, you got to do that. I mean, there's so few opportunities through the grind of a season to just, you know, do something together that's not basketball related as far as what we got to do. Just to get out and enjoy each other, take in something. Whether it could have been a movie or just anything, you just got to find time to do that with kids, and nothing better than going to watch a good Marshall game. Actually, we're going to bring our 8th graders from the county down tomorrow night to watch.
Outstanding.
Try to get them started from the Guyan Valley and Hamlin, Duval middle school teams, and I'm really looking forward to that. Getting those all those kids together for the very first time, and just let them enjoy each other.
Lincoln County High School has been around now for almost 15 years, but you still brought up a good point right there with the multiple middle schools that used to feed into the single-A high schools that consolidated to form Lincoln County. And that's, I think sometimes people don't realize how difficult it can be to mesh 4 different communities into one. And it doesn't necessarily happen overnight. And I think the little things like getting all those boys teams together after their season, that can't hurt. That does nothing but help the sense that you're competitive with each other during the season. Season's over, 8th graders moving up, you're on one team now.
Yeah, and we're at the point now. Like I said, this is our 14th year at Lincoln County High School, and we're getting kids now. They don't know anything else other than they are coming to Lincoln County High School. From the time they've been in the 1st grade, they knew when they were in the 9th grade, this is where their home was going to be. And to be honest, our athletes at Lincoln County, from day one, year one, have just meshed together tremendously. Maybe a little slower bringing in some of the older, people from around the county. Mm-hmm. But the kids, it's not been a problem at any point, any time, any year. I mean, we talk every year about how appreciative we are of the fact that we got these kids together, and they do it so well together.
Absolutely. Rodney Plumlee, head coach of the Panthers. They pick up a win tonight in overtime over Mingo Central. Coach Plumlee, congratulations on the win, and thanks so much for joining us.
Appreciate it.
All right. Always enjoy talking with Coach Plumlee.
Same here. Really, you talk about a guy that lays it all on the line when he coaches a game. I love to watch Rodney work, and he does a great job down there in Hamlin with Lincoln County. And, a lot of times they punch above their weight against some of the competition they play. But you're right, they got a tough sectional coming up.
Speaking of someone who's just kind of rolling right along, Robert C. Byrd has now won 18 consecutive games after they lost their first 2. They lost to Fairmont Senior to Wheeling Central back on December 13th. The next day they had a 17-point lead and lost to Shady Spring. Haven't lost a game since, and have put some of the most impressive defensive numbers that we have seen over the course of a few months together. But they've been in some dogfights recently. They pick up a win tonight as Robert C. Byrd defeats Bridgeport 53-45. Bill Nestor, WPDX, voice of the Eagles, joins us now on Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. And Bill, excellent ball game generally when those two teams get together. You can, the old cliche is throw out the records, but it's true, especially with Byrd and Bridgeport tonight. Byrd able to get the win.
Yeah, big win for Robert C. Byrd, guys. It's always a crosstown rival matchup, and you throw the records out like you said, and it's always a dogfight. It was 12-12 after the first quarter play. It was a 2-point ball game at the halftime break, and it just went that way the entire game. Really, in the fourth quarter play, RCB got a little bit of breathing room. Give credit to Coach Bill Bennett. He went to some full court pressure to get the game more of an up-tempo style of game, which suits his team much better. Coach Marshall and Bridgeport did a great job up to that point in slowing down the ball game. They were able to be aggressive. They got to the foul line early, which slowed the game down somewhat. And they also controlled the tempo for the most part. But RCB stayed focused, stayed with the game plan, and once they started getting out in transition, got some easy buckets, and then they sped Bridgeport up a little bit. So even when Bridgeport didn't turn it over, they were taking quicker shots and weren't hitting those shots, so it really went in RCB's favor. And they got a huge win, a big win over that crosstown rival Bridgeport team.
Bill, of course, we had Coach Bennett on a few weeks ago on the game and on the show, and you get the impression from him that sometimes your offense is hot and cold, but he seems to have that philosophy down pat. Your defense is always there, and your defense is, if you execute it well, it's going to even bail you out sometimes, and it's amazing the low point totals that RC Byrd's allowed this year.
Bill, you're right. The defense really has been the catalyst for this team. It's the one thing you can control. You can't control whether the shots are falling or not, but you can't control the efforts you put forth defensively. And you talk about some of those low point production. Right through the middle part of this 18-game win streak, there was a time when RCB was allowing 34 points a ball game. And so that defense definitely has done a good job, and it translates into easy transition buckets, which is something they've used to kickstart their offense. So when you play the good defense, and the other thing they're doing well is playing defense without fouling. In years past, some of their key players have gotten in foul trouble, and that would dictate the flow that Coach Bennett would use in terms of substitutions. But now he's getting guys staying out of foul trouble, and he's allowed to substitute freely and substitute with who he wants to, not because of necessity, but because of what he wants to do. So it's been a big difference. The defense has been aggressive and assertive, but at the same time, not making a lot of foolish fouls and not getting in foul trouble. So that's really helped this team a lot. And, the other thing that they've done that I think is impressive is the fact that they've pushed teams away from the basket. So even when teams aren't scoring, they're having a tough time just getting into a flow offensively. And then so a quick steal would translate into an easy transition hoop. So that's what's happened for them throughout this 18-game win streak. It's been the recipe for success, and I don't look for Coach Bennett to change anything.
Absolutely not. That's again, a ball club that has been playing very well after those first two games, kind of got that out of their system, and wow, just it's hard to be anything but impressed with what they've done, especially defensively. And you look back since the turn of the new year, Bill, this is the most points Robert C. Byrd has given up on a Friday.
It is. That's a tribute to Bridgeport, who's a much improved team.
Yes, and it was just 45. So that's also a tribute to the kind of defense Robert C. Byrd has been playing. Big games coming up next week with Elkins and Grafton to conclude the regular season, as Robert C. Byrd will enter the postseason, one of the hottest teams in a stacked Class AA field statewide. Bill, we're out of time. Thanks for joining us. Look forward to talking with you again next week.
Guys, thanks for having me on. Have a great rest of the show and a great weekend as well.
Thanks so much. That's Bill Nestor, WPDX. We've got to step aside, take a break. Break 3. When we come back, we'll talk with Mike Goddard, WRLB in Lewisburg. We'll talk with Eric Little, WVVV in Parkersburg. We're going to talk Greenbrier West Richwood boys basketball, as well as Parkersburg South, Lindsley, and much more when Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia rolls on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
For scores online, you'll find them all at basketballnight.com. Big thank you to all of our radio stations throughout the Mountain State carrying Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia, including 104.1 FM WVXS in Romney, 92.5 FM WZAC, Madison, Danville, Charleston, 105.5 FM WKQV Cowan, and heard in Braxton County on 106.9 FM, 91.5 FM WRSG Middleburn, 102.3 FM WMTD in Hinton, 740 AM, 106.5 FM WRNR in Martinsburg, 1360 AM, 97.1 FM WHJC, Matewan, Williamson, Belfry, 1600 AM, 98.1 FM, WKKX Wheeling, 1370 AM, 97.7 FM, WVLY Moundsville, and 101.1 FM, WVWPLP in Wayne. Many places that you can listen to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Go to our website, basketballnight.com. and you will find our affiliates page. It'll tell you all the radio stations throughout the Mountain State where you can listen in. Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. And, of course, we're on Facebook, YouTube, and Periscope. At Hoops_Roundup. At Hoops_Roundup. That's where we are on Twitter. Don't forget the poll question tonight. You've got till 11:45 tonight. And, of course, we'll share the voting results with you. Should home and away sections be clearly designated and separated in high school gyms? Give us a vote on our website on the right-hand side of the page.
Celebrating high school basketball around the Mountain State. You're listening to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia on the Fast Break Sports Network. Now, back to your hosts, Bill Cornwell, Joe Linville, and Ryan Epling.
It is 9:49 on this Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. We welcome you back to the program. Ryan Epling and Bill Cornwell with you. Joe Linville will join us a little bit later on. It's been a bit of a roller coaster the past few weeks for Greenbrier West boys basketball. And that's a team that started off very well. But back on February 4th, a stunning 28-point road loss to James Monroe. That was followed up by a loss at home to a very good St. Mary's team as part of the WV Hometown Invitational Tournament. That was also followed up by a very difficult loss to Williamstown in the Little General Shootout at the Big House, but bounced back with a win over Montcalm, a win over Clay Battelle in the West Virginia Hit placement game. Avenged that loss to James Monroe, seemed to be getting things back on the right track, but last night, another rough one. Lost by 20 at Independence. Get back in the win column tonight against Richwood. Mike Goddard is the voice of Greenbrier West, the Cavaliers of WRLB in Lewisburg. He joins us now on the program. And Mike, it seems like Greenbrier West is kind of right on the cusp of where they want to get back to playing, but a little bit of a hiccup last night, but had no carryover effect to today.
Yeah, that's correct. And sorry I missed you guys last Friday night. Go over that week of basketball that you just talked about right there. The loss to James Monroe was a shocker, to our team, and then we followed that up with the semifinal game against St. Mary's in the West Virginia Hit Tournament, and it was just a really odd game for us here at home. Our two leading scorers on the season, Caden Pack and Chase Boggs, went scoreless in that game, and so we dropped a 12-point decision right there. St. Mary's is a good basketball team, but I felt like Greenbrier West is at least, on their level. We headed to Williamstown for the LG shootout. We headed to West Virginia State to play Williamstown in the LG shootout, and they just have a really nice basketball team. He's done a really good job down there. A lot of the things that Greenbrier West likes to do, Williamstown does those things just as well, and they have a lot of size and length out in the front of their press, and they shoot the threes really well. So, we had 3 straight losses after opening the season with 13 straight wins. Had a nice rebound win at Montcalm, and then it was really anxious to see how the team would do in that placement game in the West Virginia Hit Tournament. And our kids really came out and battled the CBs. It was a back-and-forth game. There were a lot of ties in the game, and with 2 minutes left in the contest, that game was a tie ball game. And I remember telling my broadcast partner, whoever blinks in these last 2 minutes is going to lose the basketball game. Up to that point, Clay Battelle had hit all of their free throws that night and sent a young man to the line. He missed 2 free throws, and Greenbrier West hit 7 out of 9 going down the stretch right there to win that game. So it was kind of a boost there for us. And then our kids were really in tune Tuesday night for James Monroe coming in here. Coach Robertson sent me a text early in the day. He sent me a picture of the whiteboard, and the kids themselves had went down and put probably 15 talking points on the board, things that they wanted to do, how they wanted to perform in the basketball game. They came out with a lot of focus, a lot of energy, and really got after James Monroe. It was a nice win, 79-58. We came out at Independence last night, and the team came out a little bit flat in the first half and got down by, I think, 13 points at one part of the first half. Able to cut it down in the second half. They cut it down to a 3-point deficit twice, so it was 54-51 early in the fourth quarter, but we just weren't able to close it out. And Independence their record may not be very indicative of how good they are. They're a big athletic team, and they can shoot the three really well. So it was nice to come back here tonight, senior night in Charmco. We've only got one senior, Chase Hagee. The crowd gave him a fabulous standing ovation before the game, and then during the game, late in the game, he was able to throw down 2 dunks that just really set the stage for him to be able to leave the floor to another standing ovation. Caden Pack is a kid that we talk about with you guys, I think, every Friday night. And Caden, unofficially by our stats, the radio stats, we had him with 32 points and 10 steals. If he 32 ends up being right, that'll be his career high. The scorebook had him with 30, but we're going to watch film to see what that looks like. Our senior member, Chase Hagee, had 17 points tonight. Lawson Vaughn, 10 points and 10 rebounds. Chase Boggs with 11. So it's been a formula for success. We put 4 kids in double figures, and we win those basketball games.
Greenbrier West getting the win tonight over Richwood, 89-46. The Cavaliers will be back in action next week against Meadow Bridge, and then that will conclude the regular season. Then it's on to the postseason. So we're almost there.
It's been a really nice season, really nice regular season, a good body of work put together here, and if they can close that out, that'll be the third best record in Cavalier basketball history for regular season, and that'll be a nice way to finish.
Absolutely. That's a ball club. Well, it's more than a ball club. It's a program that's making good strides to build into a consistent type basketball team each year. Mike Goddard, WRLB in Lewisburg. Always a pleasure.
Thanks for having me, guys.
All right. Take care. That's Mike Goddard, WRLB. And we got a couple minutes left, so we don't have enough time to go back to the phones. I'll go ahead and tell you that after the break, we'll bring in Scott Cousins, head coach of the Parkersburg girls. The Big Reds are playing really good basketball. We'll also talk with Eric Little, WVVV in Parkersburg, but he's going to talk about the Parkersburg South Lindsley boys game. So we've got a lot there still to talk about. We've got a minute or so here before the break. We don't have enough time to get into that. But, Bill, you just looking at Greenbrier West right there. You're talking about up and down. And at the same time, are they going to be a factor in the single A postseason?
You got to
think
think
they'll be at least
you got to
threat.
think they're going to be a threat. It seems like tonight they used their anger from losing last night and they took it out on the Lumberjacks. I mean, that was a big win for them. But boy, what a great senior night for Chase Hagee. You know, he'll never forget this because not only did he win, but he had 2 slam dunks. So that's really memorable. Yeah. This team, I mean, the record that they put together overall, they've struggled a little bit. They've been a little hot and cold toward the end of the season, but still, they got to be one of those, especially in Southern West Virginia, that they're going to be a factor.
Before we go to break, I do want to take a little bit of time to send our condolences out to the family of Ann Ross. She is the mother of former Wayne High School baseball coach Todd Ross. She was my first grade teacher, and she passed away earlier this week. Great family, that's a big loss to the Wayne community from the education side, and just she was such a sweet and nice, genuinely just enjoyable person to be around. And one of the lasting memories I'll have is she got to be there on the field at homecoming this year when her granddaughter was crowned Miss Pioneer as the homecoming queen. So that was something that Ann had been when she was in school too. So that was a lovely moment. I'll never forget it. I'll never forget her checking me out of school when I was in her class to go to the St. Joe Invitational at the old Veterans Memorial Fieldhouse to watch Wayne play when my dad was an assistant coach there. It all ties in together. More basketball Friday night in West Virginia, hour 2 after this.
Basketball Friday night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
If you love basketball, then there's only one place to be on Friday nights after the game. It's Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Streaming video from the studios at Marshall University. Visit basketballnight.com for video, audio, and the Basketball Friday Night scoreboard. Watch our live high-definition video stream by going to basketballnight.com. All it takes is just one click to watch. Listen online with any computer or mobile device by clicking the Listen Live tab. And as we said, many places you can listen and watch Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. We're on great radio stations throughout the Mountain State. Just click on our affiliates page at basketballnight.com. Find a station nearest you. And we're on YouTube. Go to basketballnight.com. Just click to watch on Facebook Live. Basketball Friday Night at facebook.com/Hoops Roundup. On Periscope, we're on Twitter, twitter.com/Hoops_Roundup. Big thank you to all of our radio affiliates, including 92.3 FM WYRC in Spencer, 103.7 FM WQWB in Fisher, 92.5 FM WTHM LP Ravenswood Ripley, 106.7 FM WHFI Linside, 93.9 FM WRRR St. Mary's, 104.5 FM WASPLP Huntington, 1290 AM, 101.9 FM, WVOW in Logan, 101.7 FM, WYAPLP Clay, 98.5 FM, 101.5 FM, WQAZ Edmond Beckley, 88.1 FM, WMUL in Huntington, 90.7 FM, WFGH Fort Gay, and 950 AM, WBES in Charleston.
Please join Marshall University's Dr. Carter G. Woodson Lyceum's celebration of other important events throughout the year. The Woodson Lyceum also supports programs specifically for teachers and students. Teachers should apply for the Lyceum Summer History Institute by March 13th. The History Institute is partly funded by a major grant from the West Virginia Humanities Council. Students should apply for positions in the W. Page Pitt School of Journalism and Mass Communications High School Journalism Workshop by May 30th. Applications for teachers and students are available at the Woodson Lyceum's website, marshall.edu/Woodson Lyceum. The Woodson Lyceum is a resource for this region on Black History Month and serves as a forum supporting quality education and freedom of the press.
Welcome back to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. To join tonight's program, call 855-78-HOOPS. That's 855-784-6677. Follow us on Twitter @hoops_roundup for all the scores all the time. And visit basketballnight.com for a comprehensive look at schedules and standings for every team in the state. Stay tuned. Another hour of Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia begins right now.
10:01 on this Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. A lot to go over. Ryan Epling, Bill Cornwell with you. Joe Linville will join us a little bit later on. And if Joe's listening, I'm sure he is on his way in. Joe, don't get in a hurry. Just get here safely.
Don't wreck.
That's all we care about is just get here safely. And, we'll deal with the rest of it as we go along. Thankfully, there's no fine for being late. But nonetheless, this is Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. We love to talk high school basketball. And when you talk about high school girls basketball in Class AAA in West Virginia in the recent, in the past couple of seasons now, actually past few, you're talking about more than two, past several, you kind of have to start with the Parkersburg Big Reds. That was a program that back when basketball was played in the fall was one of the outstanding girls basketball programs, and kind of went through a spell where they had a hard time getting into the postseason. But you're talking about Parkersburg. Bill won the 87 girls state championship, 88, 89, 91, 94, 96. The first time it went to winter, and then that was it for a long time. But they have now won 2 consecutive Class AAA state championships, and they have won 10 in a row on the floor this year. Scott Cousins is the head coach of the Big Reds. He joins us now on Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. And coach, your basketball team, 10 straight wins coming into tonight. Tell me a little bit about what flipped the switch for your girls.
Well, we're kind of young this year. 22 kids out, 15 sophomores and freshmen. So beginning of the year was a little bit of a learning curve. But those young kids have figured out, the roles, rotations, things like that. We learned a little bit more about them, and things are just starting to come together. It's the right time. If we can just, stay healthy and avoid sickness, we're in a pretty good position.
Scott, I got a chance to see your team last week in the little general shootout at the Big House against Spring Valley. You had a 40-point win there, and I was really impressed by the fact that, no matter who you put on the floor, I mean, they knew what they were doing. They knew their roles, and it just seemed like everybody in one way or another, scoring, assist, whatever, getting after it on defense really contributed. Just seemed to be playing at a high level right now.
Yeah, they really are. I'm really proud of these young kids. The seniors everybody knows about, and they've done a good job bringing these youngins along. But right now we're shooting the ball real well. Like I say, we got a lot of kids that can score the ball, and that's kind of always a plus. But where they've really made the biggest difference these last 10 games is on the defensive side. And if we're going to have any success, like we've had in the postseason coming up here, that's where we'll win these things, is on the defensive end.
And your basketball team has done an excellent job of creating offense through your defense. Your press has been very difficult to break through. It seems a lot of times the past couple of years. And is it a mixture of you're playing to your team's strengths? Because you got a team that's got length. They deflect a heck of a lot of passes. They're always kind of, able to kind of reach out and like I said, get deflections, get steals that way. Is that a situation where you kind of, your style of play is designed around the athletes you have this year?
Yeah, and in past years, we unfortunately, unlike colleges, we don't get to recruit kids for a system, so you got to adjust what you have, and it took us a while the first year. We were out a lot of run and jump stuff, but maybe didn't have the foot speed I'd like us to have, but we did have all that length, so we adjusted as we went along. We learned the kids what worked best for them, and it's paid off. They are able to switch defenses on the fly. They have a lot of freedom. They have a lot of freedom. They change it on their own. They can run their own offenses. If they even run an offense, a lot of times we got just tremendous leadership in that senior class. We have all the confidence in the world in those girls, and they're just playing really, really well right now. It's really nice to sit back and just watch the progression over since they were freshmen to now they're seniors, and they understand each other, where they are on the floor. It's like they've been playing together forever.
Like you said, it's not that you have a lot of seniors, but you have good quality in your seniors too. And they've been on 2 state championship teams now, and some of them have had big roles in those state championships as well. Have you noticed any difference in their demeanor this year? You're clearly the hunted.
Not really. They openly talked about 3 in a row last year, and I had to kind of reel them back in and remind them we can't get 3 if we don't get 2. But they play with such confidence. Every time they take the floor, they expect things to go their way. They expect to win. A little bit of a swagger about them, and I think that really has helped. And like I said, there's 5 good seniors. But where it's really helped is the young kids have seen how they go about preparing to win a championship, how you have to practice, how you have to take care of your body, all the things that go into being successful during the year. A lot more than just the X's and O's.
Your ball club's been able to do that now with 10 consecutive wins, Bill.
Exactly. And Coach, of course, tomorrow night, got a challenge. George Washington and the MSAC United Champions down at South Charleston at the Community Center. And, everybody wants to win the state championship, but it is certainly a badge of honor if you can claim a conference championship, no matter what level of basketball you're at. And that's on the line for you tomorrow night.
Yeah. League championship's important for us. If you look at the recent polls, coaches poll, AP poll, top 10 schools, over half of them are in our conference. Mm-hmm. So it talks a lot about the strength of our conference. So if we're able to win this conference championship again, that says a lot, and it gets us ready for the postseason. We talked about it today. This being the championship weekend, this is a springboard into the second season where this matters, everything matters. Up to this point, they've been quizzes. How are we doing? A loss isn't a bad thing to happen. Are we getting better? Are they learning? And like I said, we've been able to put together these last 10 games. So we'll just hopefully keep that momentum. But, yeah, we'll be coming ready for – I know Coach Masters will have all kind of stuff. We kind of got him there a week or so ago. But he'll have his kids ready, and we expect a war down here.
Looking forward to all of that, as well as your team's postseason run. Scott Cousins, head coach of the Parkersburg Big Reds girls basketball team. Thanks so much for joining us, and good luck tomorrow and into the postseason.
Thank you very much.
All right, and before we go to Eric Little, Eric, who's been on hold for a half hour, we will go to you in just a moment, I promise. But right now we're behind. We have to do a scoreboard update. So let's get a check of the basketballnight.com scoreboard. Looking for scores? Look no more. Visit basketballnight.com. Bill, we'll let you do the girls' scores. Then I'll get the boys' scores behind that.
Okay, let's go to the girls' scoreboard. And a little bit limited tonight, but we're getting most of those in here. MSAC 9th place game this evening. Capital falls to Riverside 49-29. Regular season game tonight. Pendleton County beat Pawpaw 77-46. A sectional final this evening. It was Williamstown beating Wirt County 83-44. Another sectional final. Bahama beats Ravenswood, that is, in that sectional on the single A side, 49-34. Final regular season game, Grafton losing to Frankfort at 73-47. McKenna Douthit had 21 points, 9 rebounds for the Falcons. Frankfort finished the season 21-1, regular season that is. Another sectional final, Valley Wetzel went over 100, 71-38. And a final regular season game on our scoreboard for tonight. Richwood gets the win over Mountain View, 65-43, Ryan.
Boys scores tonight throughout the great state of West Virginia. It was Hurricane defeating Parkersburg 60-51. Also tonight in boys basketball, East Hardy defeats Moorfield 67-57. 20 points from Seth Smith. By the way, that Hurricane win over Parkersburg was in the MSAC 9th place game. Also, boys scores tonight. James Monroe defeats Pocahontas County 74-51. It was Pendleton County 77, Pawpaw 46. Chapmanville defeats Wayne tonight 105-52. That was a 10-point game in the third quarter. Tigers win by 53.
All right.
Also tonight, Charleston Catholic defeats Tug Valley 59-46. It was Clay Battelle, a 70-47 winner over Madonna. Elkins defeats Berkeley Springs 58-36. The Kaiser Golden Tornado defeat Allegheny, Maryland tonight by a final of 73-54. It was Greenbrier East, a 64-51 win over Oak Hill. Greenbrier West, an 89-46 win over Richwood. Martinsburg defeats Hedgesville tonight 48-42. Great game tonight in Hedgesville. We'll get more on that game a little bit later on in the program. In fact, in just a few moments, actually. Also tonight, Winfield defeats Herbert Hoover. Final score 62-52. Generals get the win. Indian Creek, Ohio defeats Brook 53-49. It was Lincoln County defeating Mingo Central in overtime tonight in Hamlin 72-65, the final in that one. Logan, the return of David Early. He scores 23 points tonight in about 2.5 quarters as the Wildcats defeat Sissonville 71-58. It was St. Joe from Huntington defeating the Man Hillbillies 62-53, the final. Also tonight, Morgantown rolls over Fairmont Seniors 72-33. Morgantown bouncing back after getting shellacked in the OVAC championship game by University. That was last Saturday. Also, Parkersburg South defeats Lindsley 64-37. We'll talk much more about that game in a moment as well. Robert C. Byrd, 18 consecutive wins for the Eagles as they defeat Bridgeport tonight 53-45. 38 points from John Hamilton, and it still took overtime for the Scott Skyhawks to get a senior night win over Nitro 89-85. Filling the basket up tonight in Madison. Also tonight, Sherman defeats Riverview 66-58. It was Musselman, a 45-43 winner over Spring Mills. Washington defeats Jefferson 67-62. East Fairmont defeats Weir tonight 57-47. The West Carter Kentucky Comets defeat Tulsa tonight 97-75, despite the Rebels' Jesse Muncie going off for 47 points in the loss. Shady Spring bounces back from its first loss, defeating Westside 72-56. Bluefield handed Shady Spring that loss earlier in the week. They win again tonight, 94-44 at Wyoming East. And in the West Virginia Christian Athletic Tournament, Grace Christian defeats Tays Valley Christian 75-67. So the Soldiers from Huntington will play Calvary Baptist in the WVCAT Championship game tomorrow. And that is a look at your basketballnight.com scoreboard. So wow, a lot of things to kind of go through there. Also didn't want to let this one get away. Williamstown earlier this week lost for the first time. They lost to Fort Fry from Beverly, Ohio. So we had 2 unbeatens fall over the course of the past week, the Williamstown boys and the Shady Spring boys.
You know, you hate to get that loss, but sometimes you need a little bit of a kick and a little bit of a humble. And coaches can work with that. Coaches can work with and coach around that and show teams that sometimes, maybe you're not as good as you think you are, and it's time to just keep on working.
We're right up against a break. Let's take this break right now. When we come back, we will talk with Eric Little, WVVV in Parkersburg. We'll also talk with Matt Crawford, WRNR in Martinsburg. He had that tight Bulldog win tonight over Hedgesville. All that and much more when Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia continues here on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Every Friday night from 9 to midnight, we're the home for high school basketball in the Mountain State. This is Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Haley McClure, Greenbrier East Spartans, Ryan Leib, Lincoln Cougars, Gage Huffman, Tyler Consolidated Knights, Rachel Bates, Valley Wetzel Lumberjills, Obina Chili Killen, Chapmanville Tigers, Tenaya Fargo, Musselman Lady Appleman, Sam Cremines, Williamstown Yellow Jackets, Calissa Lacey, George Washington Patriots, and Nick Smith, Preston County Knights. What they all have in common is they were selected by Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia as the Standout Athlete of the Week. Have someone remarkable on your team? Did you have an athlete make an outstanding play? You can nominate your team's players to become the Basketball Friday Night Standout Athlete of the Week. Each week, we consider nominees based on leadership, performance on the court, academic performance, involvement in the community, and volunteer work. Every Friday night, we select a Standout Athlete of the Week. Head over to our website, basketballnight.com. Click on the Standout Athlete of the Week tab. Fill out the nomination form. We'll take it from there. We want you to nominate your team's athletes. Check it out at basketballnight.com. Don't forget the Daily Hoops Roundup. You can sign up for that. Every day, we recap the day's scores just for you and all the teams in West Virginia. We'll send followers an email at 8 a.m. with the Daily Hoops Roundup. You can also visit basketballnight.com and find all the previous day's scores. Shout out to our latest Twitter followers, including Nick Perry and Megan Hall.
Stay up to date on your favorite teams. Check out basketballnight.com. Now, back to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia with Bill Cornwell, Joe Linville, and Ryan Epling.
Well, 2 out of 3 isn't bad. 10:17 on the program. Ryan Epling, Bill Cornwell with you. Joe Linville will be here a little bit later on. Andrew Rogers, our special correspondent, is with us. We'll talk with him in a moment about our Standout Athlete of the Week. But right now, let's go back to the phone lines. Eric Little's been on hold long enough, nearly 40 minutes now on hold. And he had a basketball game tonight that saw Parkersburg South pick up a big win over the Cadets of Lindsley. Eric, big win tonight for the Patriots.
Yes, 5 straight now for Parkersburg South. It's a season long. Parkersburg South got 17 points from Alex Woolard off the bench. He scored double figures off the bench in 4 of his last 5 games. And what's interesting about the last 2 Patriot wins this week, going back to Tuesday against South Charleston, Parkersburg South getting it done when they haven't really looked their best at a lot of times. And it's hard to, say that maybe about a team that just beat somebody by 27 points, but they were up 10-4 at the end of the first quarter, and they had about 5 empty possessions in the first quarter where Lindsley was not, shooting the ball well to start the game. They got off to a pretty poor start, Lindsley did. And Parkersburg South did not really seize upon that opportunity the way they probably could have. Lindsley cut that down to a 4-point deficit in the second quarter, but South came through with the defense. They held Lindsley to 10 points or fewer in 3 of the 4 quarters tonight, single digits in 2 of those quarters, less than 5 in 2 of them. And they're just getting it done from everybody right now. They had 9 different scores in this game. All but one of those guys are guys that factored in and played big minutes tonight for the Patriots. That's a team that 1 through 9 is looking pretty solid at the time of the year where you'd want them to be looking solid. A couple weeks ago, this is a team that had only won back-to-back games 2 or 3 times this year. So if you're going to put together a 5-game winning streak, this is the time to do it.
Absolutely, and you beat me to my point there about playing the really good basketball at the right time. Still a couple of opportunities to even improve upon that. Tuesday night, host George Washington, and then Thursday night, a trip to the Raleigh County Armory. Take on Woodrow.
Yeah, the smartest thing that I did is I took Friday morning off of the morning show because I don't want to do a morning show after making a 2.5-hour trip to the Armory. I learned that last time when I got home at 12:30, had to turn around and be back at work at 5 the next morning. That was not a ton of fun, so I took Friday off. But you're right. You come in riding a wave of momentum, and you're going to play two programs that aren't just good this year. These are programs led by coaches like Rick Green and Ron Kidd that do things the right way year in and year out, and they're perennially at the top of the heap year in and year out. So if you're Brett Rector and you're a first-year head coach at Parkersburg South, these are the kind of programs that you want yours to emulate. These are the kind of programs that you want yours to go out and beat on a good year. And these are the ones that you know you're going to have to win in Charleston if you get to the state championship.
These will be a couple of big tests for Parkersburg South, but this is when you want them. You want them when you're playing well. You want those tests when you put your best foot forward against somebody else's best foot. So we'll see how that plays out. And, of course, they will be battle-tested for the postseason just based on that alone. But, of course, the way they've played throughout the last couple of weeks in particular. Eric Little, WVVV. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. Thanks for hanging in there with us.
No problem. The big thing was I was parked at a Dollar General for a long time. I thought, well, and I had to go to the bathroom. I thought, if I use the bathroom in this parking lot, will the basketball night guys pay my fine? And when I realized that was a hard no, I got back in the car. So
you made the right decision.
I'm just glad, if you had to go to the restroom, I'm glad you didn't go into the Dollar General and get the 2-for-1 2-liter special, and it'd really been a problem.
Well, I went through Burger King while I was waiting, and the large doesn't seem like the best idea right now.
Yeah,
but
good point.
But we're hanging in there. We're fine. But no, not like I said. I realize you guys probably wouldn't pick, and I wouldn't do it. I mean, it's a financial thing. It's a financial decision.
True. Absolutely. Yes. Yeah, you don't want those types of citations to deal with. Eric Little, WVVV in Parkersburg, voice of the Parkersburg South Patriots. Once again, thanks so much for joining us tonight.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
All right, and we will talk in just a moment with Mike Parrish, head coach of the North Marion girls. Also talk with Matt Crawford, WRNR Martinsburg, had the call of the Martinsburg-Hedgesville game. We'll talk with Kevin Harper, head coach of the Scott Skyhawks girls basketball team. All that in just a moment. We'll bring in Joe Linville in a moment as well. But first, our special correspondent, Andrew Rogers, is with us. And, Andrew, let's talk a little bit about this week's Standout Athlete of the Week.
Yeah, Emily Hutchinson, a junior guard at Grace Christian, a Christian school that doesn't get a lot of notice at times, but she's really excelling this season, 16 points per game for a school that hasn't lost to a team within its own conference against other Christian schools.
And advanced to the WV Cat Championship game in Summersville, where they win today. And she's forced into a leadership role, but it's a bit of a unique one.
It is. No seniors on this team, so everybody returns, but that was a challenge for head coach Kirk Wells. He had to find leaders, and it was pretty much an obvious choice to go with Miss Hutchinson because of her ability to lead and set good examples for others.
No seniors on this team. She's scoring 16 points a game and is a teammate with a girl who scored her 1,000th career point earlier this week in Samantha Wells. So she's getting it done, too. That's more than one person's show. Andrew Rogers has more now on our Standout Athlete of the Week. Emily Hutchinson of Grace Christian.
The familiar saying, "A positive attitude changes everything," is paying dividends for Emily Hutchinson. Her positive attitude and being an encouraging teammate are what makes her this week's Standout Athlete of the Week. The Grace Christian girls basketball team is having a splendid season, sporting an 18-5 record and has not lost to a Christian school within its conference. A key component to the team's success is junior guard Emily Hutchinson. Although she is averaging 16 points per game, she has made more of an impact through her leadership.
Just try to just be there for someone that people can come to, just someone that holds people accountable. And me and Samantha Wells have just really stepped up, I feel, and we've just been able to push through the season and keep each other all on track.
The Soldiers girls team is without a senior this season, and head coach Kirk Wells knew younger leaders needed to step up. At the beginning of the season, Hutchinson was an obvious choice to be a team captain. He says Hutchinson's supportiveness is what makes her a great leader for the Soldiers.
She's one that I can put that role on, and I don't have to worry. I know it's in good hands, and I know that she's always going to be encouraging. She's going to lift her teammates up when they're down and try to help carry this team.
Growing into her leadership role is an important step for the junior guard. Her father and assistant coach Eric Hutchinson says she has learned how dealing with unfavorable circumstances happening during a game would not only affect her own play, but also her teammates.
It's not always been that way. It's been something that's had to be worked at. She's had to learn, through playing to overcome adversity. There was a time in her playing career where something didn't go, right in the game. She would hang her head. And we've always talked to her about how, as a leader on the team, your body language and some of the nonverbal messages that you can send off to your teammates and things like that are really important. And I think she took that to heart, knowing that she had to improve on that because that's what's best for the team.
She credits her parents reinforcing her to maintain a positive attitude at all times has resulted in her dealing successfully with the obstacles that come her way.
My parents, they've always taught me to be positive about things. I've just really learned to overcome that, and that positive drive has always just pushed me, and that's why I feel like I've had this breakout season so far.
In the same manner, her positive attitude has aided her on the basketball court. It has sustained her during the challenges of taking honors in college-level classes. Her father suggests her determination to succeed transitions into her studies as evident by her 4.0 GPA.
I think that her competitive spirit and her desire to excel in basketball is the same passion and excitement when it comes to academics, and I think that's ultimately that's what it's about.
With the West Virginia Christian Athletic Tournament Championship looming, Hutchinson and her teammates will attempt to finish their season strong in order to play their way into Saturday's WVCAT championship game and the opportunity to claim back-to-back state titles. For Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia, I'm Special Correspondent Andrew Rogers.
Thanks so much, Andrew, and congratulations to Emily Hutchinson of Grace Christian. We will talk with her a little bit later on. Of course, she's going to want to get in bed fairly early tonight because they have a championship game tomorrow.
They do. They got a tough one tomorrow, and boy, what a great season that Kirk Wells and those ladies are having down in Huntington's West End, and they are. It's amazing that between St. Joe and Grace Christian, the non-public schools in the Huntington area are just absolutely killing it on the court this year.
Yep,
they are killing it.
Yep,
the records are unbelievable.
Yep, and definitely the girls at Grace Christian are doing a fantastic job, and obviously they even had a little roster upheaval over the course of the season. Has not slowed them down. So very impressed by that. Who's also been very impressive from the beginning of the season all the way to now, and really for the past several, long term, is the North Marion girls basketball team. Mike Parrish is the head coach of the Huskies. He joins us now on Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. And Coach Parrish, first off, thanks for being with us tonight.
Very glad to be here.
Your girls basketball team in a familiar spot, 21-1. Won 10 straight games. Tell me a little bit about what's different from this team than some of your recent past teams.
We still play the same style. We're up and down, shooting threes and layups and pressing, and so we're playing the same style. We lost 4 starters from last year's team, and had a lot of question marks coming into this year, and we've had a lot of kids really step it up to keep the run going.
Something you've always been able to do too, and you mentioned losing 5 starters, but you almost have shifts at times, and you've been able to play a lot of girls over the past several years. That obviously helps keep your program, kind of makes those transitions a little smoother from graduating classes.
Yeah, we got a lot of girls with a lot of experience. They've played a lot of basketball over the years, and not just playing games, but in practice, playing against some of the seniors that we've graduated the last few years really gets them to where they're at their level where they're at right now.
I think you have I think you may have the most difficult road to Charleston. When you talk about Fairmont Senior is on, within your section, and whoever is the sectional runner-up in your section is, looking ahead here, most likely has to go to Frankfort for a play-in game, which is no picnic for anyone. That makes every game within the section very, very crucial, because I don't think either you or Fairmont in a perfect world, would want to go to Frankfort for a state tournament berth.
Yeah, we both went there the last 2 years. Fairmont Senior the year before, and we went last year, and neither one of us did well in that game. So it's crucial to get that sectional championship and try to get a regional home game. And it is a tough section and region. You got 3 of the top 4 AA teams that's in our region, and just to get out of the region is like getting to a state tournament. So if you get through there, you have a good chance when you get down to Charleston.
Absolutely. And your basketball team getting the top seed, Fairmont Senior the 2 seed. Tell me a little bit about how your sectional tournament plays out. Location-wise, do you play at higher seed? Do you play at neutral site? How's your tournament formatted?
Yeah, we play at the higher seed. Tomorrow, Oak Glen will play at Weir, the 4-5 game. And the winner of that game will come and play us at our place on Tuesday. And East Fairmont's the 3 seed. They'll play at the 2 seed Fairmont Senior on Tuesday.
All right, so that explains that. That's another thing about being the top seed is you get to be at home for as long as you win, and that's obviously something that you've been very good at this year and really for a long time now, winning 21 games this season and coming off of a win over Lincoln earlier this week, 77-54. The Cougars are pretty good, but you guys kind of able to cruise with a 23-point win there. And also, we talk about those tough games. Fairmont Senior was a tough game earlier. You beat them 69-68 in the Woody Williams Armory in Fairmont. And you also have already played that very, very good Frankfort basketball team and won in overtime at Frankfort. So, 1-point wins over your number 2 seed in your section and a 1-point win over the top seed in the opposite section. That tells anybody who follows this game all they need to know about just how competitive and how close your 3 teams are in caliber to each other.
Yeah, it's on any given night, any 3 of us could end up beating each other, and just comes down to who shows up and plays on that day. And it's girls basketball; anything can happen.
That's right. Mike Parrish, head coach of the North Marion Huskies. Thanks so much for joining us tonight, Coach.
All right, thank you. See you.
All right, take care. Look forward to seeing him along the way as well, be it state tournament or not, because, my goodness, there's no room for forgiveness there.
And let me tell you what, they are really playing some good basketball. In the month of February alone, their lowest point total, 67. So they're scoring a bunch of points. And in fact, they had an 89-point explosion against Preston the other night, and they beat Preston by an 89-45 score.
Yeah, that's a team that just can get it out and go. And as Coach Parrish mentioned there, they do a lot of pressure, shoot a lot of threes, and shoot a lot of layups as well. We've got to step aside and take a break. When we come back, we'll talk with Matt Crawford, WRNR, Martinsburg and Hedgesville play tonight. We'll talk with Super Dave Morrison of SuperDaveSports.com. We'll also talk Kevin Harper, the girls basketball coach at Scott High School. All that and much more when Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia continues here on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
For scores online, all of them in West Virginia, visit basketballnights.com. Streaming video live from the studios at Marshall University, visit basketballnight.com for video, audio, and the Basketball Friday Night scoreboard. Marshall University's sports journalism major offers students the opportunity to develop skills in the exciting areas of print, public relations, or broadcasting. Our curriculum features terrific skill-based courses and prioritizes hands-on experiences that not only expose the students' work to the public, but also to sports journalism professionals who are often willing to provide crucial feedback. Marshall sports journalism majors cover our 15 varsity teams in any media format, including text, online, photo, radio, or video. Hands-on, real-life experiences come through Marshall's student-powered media, the Parthenon, WMUL Radio, and MUTV, as well as communications campaigns and off-campus internships. The Marshall University School of Journalism and Mass Communications is ready and eager to help you start your sports journalism career. Learn more at marshall.edu/SOJMC. Don't forget to head over to our website and join us in this week's poll question. This week's poll question: should home and away sections be clearly designated and separated in high school gyms? You've got till 11:45 tonight. Head over to our website. You'll see the poll question on the right-hand side of the page. Follow us on Twitter at @hoops_roundup, @hoops_roundup. Big shout out to T. McKay, Joe Hudson, Douglas B. Bohr, Jason Underwood, Bryce Masters, and Trent Howard. They're all part of the Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia family.
This is high school basketball's home for the Mountain State. Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia on the Fast Break Sports Network. Now, back to your hosts, Bill Cornwell, Joe Linville, and Ryan Epling.
10:34 on this Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. We're rolling right along. Let's go right back to the phone lines. Martinsburg's boys pick up a big win tonight at Hedgesville, an important win. 48-42 the final. Matt Crawford, WRNR in Martinsburg, had the call. And Matt, first off, thanks for hanging in with us tonight. Tough win, but a big road win for the Bulldogs.
It was one whale of a high school basketball Friday night, guys. These are two bitter rivals that each time they get together, you know you're going to get a good game. It was a low-scoring matchup in the first half. The scoring really didn't start till that fourth quarter. 11-7 Dogs after the first quarter. 22-13 was the halftime score. A very low-point output for Martinsburg in the first half. The third quarter was actually ruled by Hedgesville. They outscored Martinsburg 11-7, and then Martinsburg outscored them by 1 in that fourth to go on for the 6-point win, and Martinsburg improving to 16-3 on the season, while Hedgesville falls to 16-4.
Martinsburg looks to be the top seed in that sectional. Of course, that won't be official until next week, but with the way things work out there, with Hedgesville being a close 2 right behind Martinsburg, that win tonight was vital for that sectional seeding.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if Hedgesville won tonight, it was going to be very interesting come Tuesday. But I think with the win tonight, Martinsburg secured that number 1 seed in the section. I think Hedgesville, like you said, is going to be a very close second, and it would not surprise me if this is the type of year that you see Martinsburg and Hedgesville play 4 times in the sectional final and then in the regional final as well.
And the way things roll out, they could end up first-round opponents in Charleston, the way things have played out over the years, too. And Martinsburg still 1 regular season game to go. At least that's on the schedule I see as of right now. But that's a ball club that has really improved as the season went along.
Yeah, 2 games left, actually. They have a makeup game on Tuesday. Ironically, they're going to get a regional game in against Jefferson on Tuesday. The same with Hedgesville. They'll play a sectional opponent in Spring Mills on Tuesday. And then a common opponent for Hedgesville and Martinsburg. Both will face Broadford and Christian next week. Broadford and Christian out of the Hagerstown, Maryland area will be Martinsburg's final game. So still 2 tune-up games for the postseason. But the Dogs have been a team of runs this year. When you look at the multiple game winning streaks, they've now won 13 of their last 14 and take away a couple of losses, one against a very good St. Maria Goretti team out of the Hagerstown, Maryland area. And really the only bad game, me and Matt Miller talked about this in the postgame, Martinsburg's only had 1 bad loss this year, and that was against Freedom, Virginia, back all the way in December in their holiday tournament. And they've just been a steady team. They have gotten great leadership from senior Telgren Villa and senior Teddy Marshall. They've just figured out what works for them, starting to figure out who those 6, 7, 8 guys are off the bench, and I think playing their best basketball at the right time of the season.
That's a ball club that picked up a double-digit win in Morgantown earlier this year, too. Yeah. So, Bill, that's a good basketball team.
And Matt, give credit to Coach Dave Rogers, too, because, obviously he knows, as he always has to do, in some cases it's going to be a slow start for him as he integrates players, integrates system and so forth. But they have been patiently just getting better and better each week.
Yeah, they have figured out, and Coach Rogers has figured out how to win the tight ball games this year. This is a Bulldog team that scored 100 or more in 2 separate occasions this year. And then you have a night like tonight where you have 22 first-half points. So he's figured out how to win in just about every facet and every which way.
So a big win again tonight for Martinsburg, an important win over sectional rival Hedgesville. Final score 48-42. Matt Crawford, WRNR. Thanks so much for joining us tonight.
Thanks, guys.
All right. And Matt's one of the people that I've had opportunity to work with from afar before.
Right.
again, the Little League tournaments when they were in Huntington. It's a small little world out there. Let's go right back to the phones. Kevin Harper is the head coach of the Scott girls basketball team. Coach Harper joins us now on Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. First off, welcome to the program.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me.
Hey, Coach, you know, the Lady Scouts kind of got a late start. They didn't post the position until just a month or two before the season started. Definitely a rebuilding year for the Skyhawks. Are you satisfied at this point to be where you are as you roll into sectional play tomorrow?
Yeah, I'm satisfied where we're at. It took a little while to get rolling, like you said, with a late start. But getting the girls to buy into the system and hustling every day and just putting in the work every day at practice and, you know, just trying to put it out there to where we want to be going forward in the future.
Of course, I've had the opportunity to watch these girls, you know, throughout the season. I thought over the last couple of weeks they've really made some leaps and bounds on their improvement. Had a big win over Hannon earlier in the week, 63-34. Good showing for the Lady Hawks.
Yeah, we're getting to the point where I think we're ready to go into sectionals. I think it took some time for these ladies to learn how to want to win every night rather than just being content with participating in a ball game or maybe just taking a loss and it not bothering them. But that's what we're trying to change is just the culture to where we're not content with just participating in the game.
You know, we've talked about how tough this sectional is on the boys' side. It's not much easier on the girls' side with Chapmanville, Logan, Lincoln County. You guys face Logan tomorrow evening in Chapmanville. Your thoughts on the game?
I think it's going to be a good game. I think we match up pretty well with Logan. That's been a hard thing for us all season is, you know, a lot of these teams we play are guard heavy. We're the exact opposite. We only have a few guards on our team. We're probably going to be one of the larger teams size-wise with some bigs that play inside and rebound. But I think we match up pretty well with Logan. I think it'll be a good game tomorrow.
Coach, one other thing I did want to mention, you only lose one senior, Chloe Older. She was honored there Monday night for senior night. But you got a good core of girls coming back for next season.
Yeah, we're really young. We got a lot of sophomores, a couple juniors, a really good freshman point guard that stepped up for us this year. Sophomore class that's, you know, pretty deep there. We hope to get some girls out next year that probably should have been playing in the past but haven't been. So hopefully we can get those to come back out and have more girls to pull from next season.
Coach Kevin Harper of the Scott Skyhawks girls basketball team. They play again, as Joe mentioned, in the sectional tournament tomorrow against Logan. That game will be at Chapmanville. Coach Harper, thanks so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you, sir.
All right, and that's an unforgiving situation there. You come in late to begin with. You're in a league that is unforgiving in general. It's hard to get your foot on the ground to be able to sort of guide yourself from there. It's hard to dig in.
Right, and he's, you know, he's changed it up a little bit from the previous coach. Plus, you know, he's not a teacher, so, you know, he's got to make time from his regular job to, you know, to spend time with these girls to practice, and then you've got to share a gym with the boys. So it makes it tough when you're in that kind of a situation.
And what a tough matchup in the sectional. In the coaching matchup's interesting. You know, he's kind of an inexperienced good, and he's going against a veteran tomorrow in Kevin Gertz. Right. And we know what a good coach Kevin Gertz is.
And I hope Coach Gertz is back on his feet 100%. He was in the hospital last week, had some infection issues, but he was released earlier in the week, so hopefully he'll be able to make it out to the game to coach his team. Absolutely. Certainly hope for that as well. It's time to meet up with our good buddy, Super Dave Morrison of SuperDaveSports.com. No one covers Region 3 like Dave Morrison. And Dave Morrison joins us now on Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Dave, you had Westside Shady Spring. Shady Spring coming off a loss for the first time all year. Didn't seem to show
Shady Spring actually losing to Bluefield
on Monday night, as you guys know, and everyone kind of wondered how they would respond. Well, they responded, first of all, by beating Pikeview on Wednesday, and then they had the game with Westside. Kind of got the sense that they were pointing a little bit more at this one tonight, just simply because Westside is probably going to be that number one seed. On the other side, it's a team that they figure to possibly see again. So if they were to lose to Bluefield, and what a rematch that's going to be over on Section 2, if it works out that way, and I think everyone assumes or thinks that it will happen that way, one of those teams is probably going to have to go to Westside, and tonight was a good opportunity for Shady Spring to send a message. They did that, took care of business tonight, but I think it was a 16-point win for the Tigers, and it was a good game, really. Westside couldn't have asked for a better start. They went ahead 22-12 at one point in the first quarter, but Shady Spring went on what they do best, a big roll, 15-0, and kind of took control of the game at that point. Westside did cut it to 2 at one point, but as soon as they did that, again, Shady was a run, and you got 5 guys that can shoot. And tonight it was really more of a thing where Shady Spring drove to the basket and scored going, and they went downhill really well tonight, scored at the basket, and pulled away eventually for that win.
The one thing that Shady Spring can sometimes have some problems with is just size, just a sheer size issue on the interior. That showed up a little bit Monday in that loss to Brush Fork Armory. I watched that game on Video Productions. Again, they do a fantastic job. You can just sit down and watch a good high school basketball game just about any time of the week. And that game was a game where Bluefield and Shady Spring, they kind of went at it early, and Shady Spring fell behind, got back in the game, had a small lead at one point, but Bluefield kind of hit them with a second-half flurry to pull away and win. That's a big win for Bluefield. It's not a bad loss for Shady Spring, but we all wondered how they would bounce back from defeat, and they certainly have handled that really well.
Yeah, they did handle it real well, and I think one thing I agree with the fact they don't have a lot of size, Shady Spring, but they really make up for that with the way they hustled tonight against Westside, which again had a height advantage. They have a couple of big guys. It seemed like Shady got every loose ball, every deflected rebound, simply by sheer hustle and the way that they play. The way they play, they make up for that. Now, when you're going against a guy like Sean Martin from Bluefield, hey, good luck with that. He's not only is he a big guy at 6'5", but he's also a football player. He kind of plays with that mentality. And really, Monday night, I've never seen a big guy control the final 2 minutes on the defensive end, which led to several runouts. That game was tied at 61 with 1:47 left. And, of course, Bluefield ended up winning by 11 points. So, you go from a 61 tie to winning by 11. And that was all because Sean Martin inside, with shots, he wasn't blocking. He was very intimidating around the basket. He forced Shady Spring to shoot earlier than maybe they wanted to. Just really did one heck of a job inside and controlled the paint area where Shady really couldn't get downhill. And that last flurry, that last run by Bluefield was very, very impressive.
Dave Morrison of SuperDaveSports.com. No one covers Region 3 like Dave does. Girls basketball sectionals getting underway tonight, carrying through the week. Dave will have all that and much more. Dave, we're tight on time. Thanks for joining us tonight, and look forward to talking more basketball next week. You bet, guys, and congratulations on the 99th show. Good luck in 100 next week. We'll talk to you then. Greatly appreciated. Dave Morrison of SuperDaveSports.com. We're going to step aside, take a break. When we come back, we will talk with our standout athlete of the week, Emily Hutchinson of Grace Christian. We'll also talk with Bluefield boys basketball assistant coach Tony Webster, and we'll talk with Taylor Bonamici of the top-ranked girls AA team, the North Marion Huskies. Much more to go when we return on Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
If you love basketball, then there's only one place to be on Friday nights after the game. It's Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Thanks for joining us on Show 99 of Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. We've told you there are many places that you can listen and watch basketball Friday night in West Virginia. We're on great radio stations throughout the Mountain State. Just click on our affiliates page at basketballnight.com and find a station nearest you. And if your station's not carrying basketball Friday night in West Virginia, you need to tell them they should. You can also watch our high-definition video on YouTube. Go to basketballnight.com. Just click to watch. Facebook Live. We're on facebook.com/Hoops Roundup. Facebook.com/Hoops Roundup. And on Periscope. That's twitter.com/Hoops_Roundup. Twitter.com/Hoops_Roundup. And in the Huntington area, we're on Comcast, Channel 25, Armstrong Digital Channel 204. And we're on 88.1 FM, WMUL in Huntington, 950 AM, WBES Charleston, 90.7 FM, WFGH Fort Gay, 98.5 FM, 101.5 FM, WQAZ Edmond Beckley, 101.7 FM, WYAPLP Clay, 1290 AM, 101.9 FM, WVOW in Logan, 104.5 FM, WASPLP Huntington, 93.9 FM, WRRR St. Mary's, 106.7 FM, WHFI in Linside, and 92.5 FM, WTHMLP, Ravenswood, Ripley.
Celebrating high school basketball around the Mountain State. You're listening to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia on the Fast Break Sports Network. Now, back to your hosts, Bill Cornwell, Joe Linville, and Ryan Epling.
10 till 11 on this edition of Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia, the 11th show of the season, episode 99 overall. Looking forward to 100 next week. That'll be a special show. That's going to be unlike any show that we've done before. Looking forward to all that, celebrating high school basketball throughout the great state of West Virginia. We also, it's important to us that we celebrate not just the kids in the SSAC, but the kids that play at private schools that aren't a part of the Secondary Schools Activities Commission. And that's why we try to keep up as best we can with the Christian Athletic Tournament, which is going on in Summersville tonight. And earlier today, Grace Christian's girls got a victory, and Emily Hutchinson was a big part of that, and she's been a big part of all their success. She is our standout athlete of the week, a junior guard from Grace Christian School in Huntington, West Virginia. Emily Hutchinson, our standout athlete of the week, joins us now on Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Emily, first off, congratulations.
Hey, thank you guys for having me tonight.
Absolutely, and I know you're going to want to get a good night's sleep because you have a big ball game coming up tomorrow in the WVCAT Championship game.
Yes, sir.
Tell me a little bit about your win tonight over Mercer Christian.
Yeah, we ended up winning 43-29. It was a different game than what we're used to in the VCAT. It was much more of a tougher game. It was also a little bit more physical. They were used to pushing the ball and getting up the floor really quick, but they slowed us down a little bit. So we were very patient tonight on offense. It's kind of a low-score game for us, but it was overall a really good game. We just had very good effort tonight. So,
tell me about being a co-captain on a team as a junior, because there are no seniors. You basically fill that role without, you still get another year to come back and play.
Yeah, I was very honored when Coach came to me earlier in the season and asked me to take on that role, and I've tried to take it on as best as I can, and even looking forward to next year, hopefully still continuing that role. I'm just looking forward to just bettering my teammates and having them better me as well in that position.
Emily, tell me about some of the activities that you're involved in outside of basketball.
I do work at my local church, Christ Temple Church. I work in kids ministry there, just doing mostly backstage. I don't get to interact with the kids as much, but it's just awesome to just be back there with my dad. He is the children's pastor there, so it's just great to just be around those kids. And I mostly just work on lighting and sound, stuff like that, but it's still just a great experience.
You talk about being around kids. That just reminds me of how, when people grow up, they're always around. Especially people who grow up around sports. The kids in high school are kind of almost their heroes in their own way. And when you're in the situation of being in high school, you really tend to not think about that. But I'm sure some of the girls, both from your church and from your school, that are younger, they see you on the basketball court and are like, I want to play like her. How does that make you feel?
I love that. I try to embrace it as much as I can. I was walking to school sometimes, and you just hear kids that sometimes you don't even know. Really, you don't get to see them a lot. And they're like, hey, Emily, I saw you last night. Good game. It's really humbling, and it just excites me because I know that those girls are also going to try and come up and play the same as well. And I'm just looking forward to them growing in that field.
Emily, you go to a Christian school, and I'm sure you got friends that go to the public schools. How different is that in your life from day to day?
I feel like with all of our Christian school friends, we're more close, and it's more of a family-like experience. I mean, I don't have any public school experience, but it's just a different feel. And having friends in public school, you hear some of the stuff, but everything that goes on within the Christian school is just always based off of our foundation in Christ and what we believe, and it's just something that also just really helps in day-to-day life. You get encouraging words all the time. You got great coaching staff. Christ Light is trying to center us in Him, and it really pushes you to even be better.
Emily, we had Coach Wells on set with us about a month ago, and you guys have just put together an outstanding year. Talk about the work that you and others on the team did coming into the season to really set you up and get you ready in what's been an outstanding season so far.
Yeah, we just have a great group of girls. All of us have a great work ethic, but we also have coaches that are always giving us opportunities to get in the gym, and they're putting up their time to help us and better us, and it's really all because of them. You got coaches like Coach Wells and Coach Bailey and even my dad and Coach Albright. They're just always giving us the chances to get in the gym to get better. And we got girls who are willing to come out and get better. And doing those summer workouts, we got a spring league and stuff. It keeps you in game shape, but also keeps you game ready, keeps your basketball IQ up. And I think that really does help us heading into the season with our practice schedule and everything like that. And just really did set us up well for the season.
You are a 1,000-point scorer. Your teammate, Samantha Wells, a 1,000-point scorer. And to do that both by your junior seasons, that's got to be a little bit of a special thing, too.
Yeah, yes, sir, it really is. Samantha got hers last night. I was so proud. The way she got it, it was kind of crazy. I was a little jealous how she got it, threw up a half-court buzzer beater. It was beautiful. But, yeah, just to have that, especially knowing that I have one more year left, it's really awesome to think about.
Emily Hutchinson of Grace Christian School, our standout athlete of the week. Thanks so much for joining us tonight.
Hey, thank you guys for having me.
All right, and obviously a pleasure to get to talk to her tonight, and she definitely worthy of our standout athlete of the week. 2 hours are in the books. When we come back, we'll talk with Tony Webster, assistant coach of the Bluefield boys basketball team. An emotional week for Coach Webster and that squad. We'll also talk with Taylor Bonamici of the North Marion girls basketball team, and we'll talk with our good buddy Jordan Mounts at the Tug Valley Charleston Catholic game tonight. All that and much more when Hour 3 of Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia returns on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
This is high school basketball's voice in the Mountain State. Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Big thank you to all of our radio affiliates around the Mountain State carrying Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia, including 103.7 FM WQWV in Fisher, 92.3 FM WIRC Spencer, 101.1 FM WVWBLP Wayne, 1370 AM 97.7 FM WVLY Moundsville, 1600 AM 98.1 FM WKKX Wheeling, 1360 AM 97.1 FM WHJC, Matewan, Williamson, Belfry. 740 AM, 106.5 FM, WRNR in Martinsburg. 102.3 FM, WMTD Hinton. 91.5 FM, WRSG Middleburg. 105.5 FM, WKQV Cowan. And heard in Braxton County on 106.9 FM. 92.5 FM, WZAC Danville, Madison, Charleston. And we're on 104.1 FM, WVXS in Romney. Many other places you can find Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Go to basketballnight.com, and all those places are right there. Of course, we're on Facebook, YouTube, Periscope. You can find us in the Tri-State region on Comcast Channel 25, and we're also on Armstrong Digital Channel 204. Thanks for joining us, and we appreciate all the new followers on Twitter, including Brady for WV, Noah, Teresa, and Heather Doyle. They're all part of the Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia family.
Please join Marshall University's Dr. Carter G. Woodson Lyceum's celebration of other important events throughout the year. The Woodson Lyceum also supports programs specifically for teachers and students. Teachers should apply for the Lyceum Summer History Institute by March 13th. The History Institute is partly funded by a major grant from the West Virginia Humanities Council. Students should apply for positions in the W. Page Pitt School of Journalism and Mass Communications High School Journalism Workshop by May 30th. Applications for teachers and students are available at the Woodson Lyceum's website, marshall.edu/Woodson Lyceum. The Woodson Lyceum is a resource for this region on Black History Month and serves as a forum supporting quality education and freedom of the press.
Welcome back to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. To join tonight's program, call 855-78-HOOPS. That's 855-784-6677. Follow us on Twitter @hoops_roundup for all the scores all the time. And visit basketballnight.com for a comprehensive look at schedules and standings for every team in the state. Stay tuned. Another hour of Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia begins right now.
This is hour 3 of the fastest 3 hours in radio. Ryan Epling, Bill Cornwell, Joe Linville. All have it. Yes, there's your welcome. Marcus Constantino also with us. Andrew Rogers, cast of thousands who do such great work for us and help us to be able to bring these games, these reports, scores, information, all of that to you, and we are so thankful for so many people who have helped, not just tonight and not just this year, but over the course of the 7 years now of this program. So some of them have come and gone or doing different things. No one's just flat out abandoned us, thank goodness. Maybe. No, I just kidding. But we are totally thankful for each and every one of them and all the work that they have done for us. We'll get you a scoreboard update in a little bit, but first, an emotional game earlier this week for Bluefield. Senior night at the Brush Fork Armory, and sometimes you celebrate who's there. You can't forget who wasn't. Tony Webster was a little Tony, as they called him, the basketball player, the son of assistant coach Tony Webster, who the child passed away last year, and it's been a rough go. And unfortunately, I know how that goes all too well. My community had a similar situation this year. Joe, yours has had a similar situation recently. Bill, yours has had a similar situation over the course of these past years. And it's something that we can't relate to it in a father-son method. We won't try. But we understand that it's a real thing. And I think one of the big things is to keep going, and that's something Bluefield has done. They picked up a big win over Shady Spring. They've been playing excellent basketball, 10 wins in a row. Tony Webster, assistant coach, joins us now on Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. And Coach, sometimes you have to kind of smile. I know it's hard, but I know, I can't say that I knew your son, but I know that he would have been happy with the way that basketball team played this week.
Yeah, of course he would. Little Tony was a big part of these boys' team. They played AAU travel ball together. They've been together for a long time. They're friends, and he's smiling down on these his friends, and he's proud of the way that we are been playing. We've been playing good basketball. I'm really proud of what these kids are trying to accomplish at this time.
10 straight wins, and in the course of that, you'd already beaten Princeton once, but you had lost to Princeton earlier this year. You beat them by 32. Come back out next night on a Saturday. Fairmont Senior comes into Brush Fork Armory. You get that win, 69-53, and then turn around Monday. So you're talking about not a lot of time here. It's a very state tournament-like schedule and very state tournament-like caliber opponents, too, to a degree, and you knock off unbeaten Shady Spring at the Brush Fork Armory. I know that was a game that a lot of people in that area had circled. Tell me about your team coming out and performing up to the hopes and expectations in that ballgame.
Well, like kids, like I said, they're playing at a high level right now, and our kids understood that Shady is a team that was number one, and they playing great ball, and they took care of us at their place, and they understand that to accomplish the goal that we want to accomplish, we have to beat the top teams, and these kids have been focused. I mean, our schedule has been a heck of a schedule, but that's what we want. We want a schedule that's competitive and that it will get us ready, hopefully, for the long run and help us get to Charleston.
And, Coach, you also talk about the depth of talent in Class AA this year specifically. You've got two-time reigning state champion Chapmanville, who is really good. Logan, obviously, really good. Your team is very good. Shady Spring is very good. Robert C. Byrd is very good. I think the result of your sectional could wind up being a big factor in the state tournament seeding, and I don't know necessarily that it means a whole lot because everybody's going to have to beat each other anyway.
I agree. I think AA ball is one of the most competitive in all three classes. I think like the teams that you just mentioned, they are all great teams. And like I said, our section and region is one of is unreal. I mean, I think we have some real quality teams down here in the southern area. But like I said, you still got to go through. Once you get there, you got Poker, you got Chapmanville, you got Logan. I mean, Robert C. Byrd. I mean, it's just not gonna get any easier. But to win a state championship, it's not supposed to get easy. So we're just gonna continue to work hard, and to get better and see where it leads us on down the road.
Coach Tony Webster, assistant coach for the Bluefield Beavers boys basketball team. Thanks so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you, sir, for having me. Appreciate you all.
All right, greatly appreciate Coach Webster for his time tonight as well. And let's kind of break that down here for a moment. I just kind of mentioned in passing that my community understands that Colt Adams passed away in a car accident back in May. He was a football player, but also a boys basketball player at Wayne. And Joe had a similar situation a couple of years ago at Scott High School. And you don't say. It's hard to say anything about how the effects on the kids and the community that are involved. Everyone handles it differently, but to see them come out, to see them playing well, and it's just there's a heartwarming element to that, and something that kind of gives you a little bit of peace and comfort in seeing the kids playing well, having fun, but not forgetting.
Yeah, I mean, and Tony Jr. was such an increment part of this Bluefield team.
He was a ball boy growing up. He's been in that basketball program. He was in that his entire life.
So, they've just, the whole community, in addition to the basketball program and the school, was just wrapped their arms around his family. And you can tell, I mean, it still hurts. It has to, but he tries to stay positive, Coach Tony Webster, and keeps, working with the program and keep his memory alive of his son.
And what's interesting is that little Tony had an impact on all the athletes at Bluefield High School, because every team there this year, you see little allusions to it. They kind of remember Tony. I know when the football team got on the bus and headed up to Wheeling for the Super Six, that they had a little almost like a little ceremony, just remembering little Tony.
Yep, and it's it's obviously a very difficult situation. There aren't words for it. There just aren't. But certainly appreciate Coach Webster taking time to talk with us. I know that's not an easy interview tonight.
It is not.
But certainly appreciate that. I know that that basketball team's giving him a little bit of comfort, giving him something to smile about.
They're on a roll.
They are rolling right along. You know who else is rolling right along? The North Marion girls basketball team. Now 21-1, winners of 10 straight. Their only loss was to Martinsburg earlier in the year, but they've beaten Frankfort on the road, handed the Falcons their only loss. They've beaten Fairmont Senior twice. The Polar Bears have only lost 4 games total. So North Marion getting it done, and one of those players who is getting it done is Taylor Bonamici. She was on that state championship team 2 years ago, in a completely different role now, but she joins us now on Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Taylor, first off, wow, your basketball club is playing very well.
Yeah, we've been playing really well so far this season, and we have a lot of potential. We just have to go out in there and show it every game and just do what we know how to do.
It can be tough to play at that level for 22 games through a regular season. Tell me how you're able to come out night in, night out, and to continue to play at that high level, because with the exception of that one loss to Martinsburg, there haven't been many, or if any, hiccups along the way.
No, we just have to prepare for it every day in practice and not take any time off in practice, because that really gets you ready for games and gets you in shape and conditioned so you can go all out all the time.
Girls basketball right in that section and in that county, for that matter, is so competitive. You talk about Fairmont Senior and the success that they've had. They've won 2 of the past 3 girls state championships. You won the one in the middle, and yet you haven't both been to the state tournament together in a couple of years, because the loser of your sectional has had to go to Frankfort, which is no easy task, and has lost in the sectional or in the regional each of the past 2 years. Tell me how important your sectional is, even with a team that is, played as well as it has all year. It really comes down to this time of year.
Yeah, sectionals are really important for us, and we're really glad this year that we got the 1 seed in the section. So as long as we keep winning, we'll get home court advantage, and that's definitely a big plus, because we play really well at home, and just it's a big advantage for us.
Taylor, some of these wins you've had this season have come right down to the wire, only a point or two. How tough were those on you when you look back on them?
Well, they might have been tough, but it was a good learning experience for all of us, because then if we're in that situation in tournament time, we'll be comfortable with it and know what to do, and we won't freak out. We'll have experience in those situations.
Taylor Bonamici of the North Marion Huskies girls basketball team. How's your role changed between now and in that state championship run of 2 years ago?
Well, I'm a senior now. I was only a sophomore then, so a little bit more of a leadership role. Like, I'm one of the oldest girls on the team now, probably have some of the most experience out of all of them. So just to be a good role model and someone for everyone else to look up to.
Taylor Bonamici of the North Marion girls basketball team. Thanks so much for joining us tonight, and best wishes to you and the Huskies.
Thank you.
All right, that's Taylor Bonamici, and that's like I said, that's a competitive area for girls basketball. With
just in the town of Fairmont alone.
I mean, you think about that. I mean, you got solid AA programs in the county and in the city of Fairmont, and whoever comes out of those sectionals, they're going to be tested. Despite, in North Marion's case, they won a lot of games, big margins. Although last time they took on Fairmont Senior, they won at Fairmont Senior by a point. And I wouldn't be surprised to see those folks together again pretty soon.
Those matchups are fun sometimes. Sometimes it's the team, sometimes it's the individuals involved along the way. Bonamici and Washington's kind of tangling together. That's a big battle when those two teams get together.
And then once you get in the gym, the atmosphere, whether you're home or away or even on a neutral floor, can kind of have a little sway on how the game goes, especially in these tight ones.
Certainly can, and that's a sectional and regional that we will keep a very close eye on over the course of the next week/week and a half, because next week we'll have most of the regional matchups set for girls basketball by the end of the night. We will have boys sectional play beginning on Friday of next week. So much to do with our 100th show next week as well. So it's going to be a blast. It's going to be a jam-packed show next week. So we are looking forward to that. We're also looking forward to right now taking a little break because when we come back, we'll have Jordan Mounts, WFGH. He had the call of Charleston Catholic's win over Tug Valley tonight. And we'll have our resident referee, Bo Anderson, and his Bo Knows segment. It has a name now. I just came up with it. That really took a lot of creativity, right? Much more Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia when we return on Basketball Friday Night here on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
For scores online, all of them in West Virginia, visit basketballnight.com. Follow us on Twitter at @hoops_roundup, at @hoops_roundup. Some of the folks following us this week and just today on Twitter, shout out to them, including Noah, Mikey Ferguson, Josh Warwicks, Cody Jenkins, Cody Brown, BJ Ellis, Buckets G, Brady Barron, Sheila Watson, Curtis Taylor, Brady for WV, Noah, Teresa, Heather Doyle, T. Murph 33, Terrence Ford, Madison Brown, Elijah Hedge, Robin Smoot, Megan Hall, Nick Perry, Cheryl Lou, Trent Howard joined us, Bryce Myers, Jason Underwood, Douglas B. Bohr, Joe Hudson, T. McKay, Alex Murphy, Joanne Griswold, Jacob Penter, Shelby Schaefer, Chris Holmes, Bryn Ashton, Travis Dingus, Camille McPherson, WV, Shannon Sharp, Allison, Taylor Strotterman, Corey, and Lori Q. Martin. They're all part of Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia, following us on Twitter, sending us scores, and hey, you can text us too. You can also send us pictures if you're watching right now. You can send us your pictures by Twitter at @hoops_roundup, at @hoops_roundup. You can send them to scores at basketballnight.com, scores at basketballnight.com. Of course, we're on Facebook too, facebook.com/hoops roundup. You can watch the show there and you can interact with us on Facebook. Thanks for being part of Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. This is show number 99, 100 next week.
Stay up to date on your favorite teams. Check out basketballnight.com. Now, back to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia with Bill Cornwell, Joe Linville, and Ryan Epling.
It's 11:16 on this February 21st, 2020. Episode 99 of Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Ryan Epling, Bill Cornwell, Joe Linville with you from our Huntington studios on the campus of Marshall University. Always always a big thank you to the folks here at Marshall University who host us and treat us so well and allow us to bring you this program from the television studio in the first floor of the communications building. It's a building with no windows, if everyone's really fully aware of that. It's not exactly true. The student newspaper office for the advisor has a little skinny window.
It's a narrow window.
That's about the only one.
Sun's shining or not.
No, because you're below ground level here, basically. Just the way it goes. We're off the hill from Old Main at Marshall, so definitely, love being here though, and they've done so much for us. Mike Stanley puts in so much time and effort into this program. Cannot thank him enough for all the technical wizardry that he's able to come up with, and he built this set. And also a big thanks to everyone involved with that, because we can't do it without them. They do so much good work, and they do it just to help us bring you basketball in the best way we can and celebrate the sport that we love so much throughout the great state of West Virginia. Tough loss tonight for the Tug Valley Panthers. They're 10-12, and my goodness, they don't play anybody that's that's an easy win. No, it's every night out's a showdown for them.
They back down from no one.
No, they do not. And sometimes they come up short, but man, I don't want to see that team in a postseason. Let's just put it that way. If I'm, preparing for a game there, they lose tonight at Charleston Catholic. 59-46 was the final in that one. Jordan Mounts, WFGH. covering that ball game for us. Joined us now on the program. Jordan was in studio with us last week. Jordan, tough loss tonight for Tug Valley. Charleston Catholic is so good, especially at home.
Yeah, Ryan, absolutely. It was a tough loss tonight. The third quarter was the difference in the ball game. Charleston Catholic came out on an 8-0 run to start that third quarter, start the second half, and put Tug Valley in a down by 10 points early on in the first half, in the second half. And, just Panthers could not recover from that. But, I was talking to my dad, who's the assistant coach of Tug Valley, and he makes a good point. Tug Valley just does not match up well against Charleston Catholic. That's a very tall, that's a long, athletic team, and it's just we couldn't keep up with them. I mean, give Coach Hunter Moles, actually, Coach Hunter Moles and I were actually college classmates way back about 3 years ago. But give him all the credit in the world. He's got those boys in great shape, and that's a good team.
That's a team that won in Naugatuck back on December 28th, 48-45. So you look at that matchup now, nearly 2 months later, Charleston Catholic wins by 13 in the rematch in Charleston. Tug Valley, we talk about, it's hard to get a good gauge of them night in, night out, or you could argue that you do have a good gauge of them because they play all the top teams, it feels like. But at the same time, this is a team that if it can kind of play itself into the postseason, start picking up some momentum, that's a tough team. Jordan, it's a battle-tested team and a rugged team that doesn't have the record to really show the caliber of ball club that it is.
Well, again, a conversation that we've had, the sectional tournament looking ahead, we're not necessarily having an easy time. We've got Tulsa and St. Joe really are the two, and Tug Valley. Those are your top three teams in that section. I believe it's Section 2 Region 4. Am I correct in saying that, Ryan?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
yes.
Yeah. It's Section 2 Region 4, and those are your top three teams in that section as it stands right now. As it's slated, we're kind of expecting that Tug Valley will be the number one seed, followed by Tulsa St. Joe. Not quite sure how that one will come out. But nonetheless, getting through the section is going to be paramount, and then we'll have the loser of the other section, which depending on how that one boils down. The two top teams, obviously, in that section that really spark out people's minds are Williamstown and Parkersburg Catholic, two very quality teams that Tug Valley has played as well this season, both of them winning against Parkersburg Catholic and falling at home to Williamstown there by 2 points. So tough teams, and the key for Tug Valley is make it through the sectional and win the section tournament and have that home regional against whoever may be the second place team coming out of the other section. I know the coaching staff and the players would feel a lot better playing at home for the regional event rather than traveling to obviously a very talented team and whoever it may be.
Jordan, a little bit of a break for the Panthers because got about a week off till you get sectional play going, and this gives Coach Garland Thompson a chance to get that team into the gym and maybe get them not only just their heads straight, but maybe work on a few things to throw at these opponents that maybe they haven't seen so far this year.
You're absolutely right there, Bill. Good time for the break, going into section, allows everybody to get their batteries recharged and come into it with a full head of steam into the sectional tournament because, the season starts over. Everybody's 0-0 here after this, after the regular season finishes and we start postseason action. But, it's also a time that I would anticipate Coach Garland Thompson giving the guys a little bit of a break. Tug Valley is just like almost every team in the state, it seems like, has just been hit by the illness bug, that flu virus that's going around, and it's run rapid through the team, and Tug Valley is just now starting to get some of their key players healthy again. So that's going to be it's kind of a blessing to actually have this a little bit of a break here at the very end of the season, and it could be pretty beneficial if everybody's able to come out of this healthy and ready with a fully charged battery and ready to go into postseason.
Hopefully so. It should be a lot of fun as we get going. And again, that could be a Tug Valley team that, rolls into Charleston potentially with about a 500 record that no one will want to play.
And I tell you what, one thing about Tug Valley, if they get to Charleston, they don't only take themselves, they take a bunch of fans, and they always make it interesting when they do make it to Charleston.
The northern half of Mingo County empties out.
They go to Charleston, and they go in force.
You know, guys, you were just speaking about that. With the record that we have, I'll add this really quickly. I was talking to Coach Hunter Moles here from Charleston Catholic. Him and the athletic facility director there, all of us graduates from West Virginia Tech University. All of us went to class together, teammates and whatnot. But we were all talking. They were telling me that they picked Tug Valley as kind of the sleeper pick to make it to Charleston and actually probably maybe do some damage going on as the tournament progresses. Coming in with a 10-12 record, you know, a lot of teams look at that, and you've got to look a little deeper than that because the record does not fully support the caliber of team that Tug Valley is.
Jordan, always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure, Ryan. You all have a good show. We'll see you next week for Big 100.
All right, sounds good. That's Jordan Mounts, WFGH, as he had the Tug Valley loss tonight at Charleston Catholic. I'm just distracted with the food came. Sorry. It happens.
That's the only reason I came tonight.
Yeah. Well, we're we'll see. I'm so excited for that already. All right, Joe. Before we talk to Bo and before we get a scoreboard update, tell me a little bit about the game you were at tonight.
Wow, it was exciting. Nitro. Scott just couldn't get going early. Nitro jumped out to an 18-0 lead. I didn't think Scott was even going to score in the fourth quarter. They finally scored and just kept chipping away. Scott finally got back in the ball game, took the lead in the early part of the third quarter. Then it was pretty much nip and tuck back and forth. Nitro got hot and Scott got hot. John Hamilton, the senior, big night for him. Scored 38 points. He breaks the all-time scoring record at Scott High School that was previously set by Travis Banks several years back. Also, Jagger Bell, who was one of the other key players for Scott, actually hurt his ankle early in the third quarter. He came back in a couple times, but he was nowhere near 100%. So exciting game, went into overtime. Skyhawks win at 89-85.
Absolutely.
And that's the reason I don't have much of a voice. 4-3. You know how those go all night long.
Well, let's see. You had an
89-85.
89-85 overtime. You had a lot of baskets to call.
We did. I did.
A lot of free throws, too.
And, of course, as you know, as a PA announcer, you try to keep the crowd into the game as well. So, exciting night in Madison.
Sometimes you go with them. Sometimes you try to stoke them out a little bit. It just depends on your crowd on any given night. We'll do our scoreboard update in a moment, but right now it's time for our resident referee. 18 minutes, and I'm not making him hold through the break this time. He is our resident referee, Bo Anderson. He joins us now on Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Bo, welcome back to the program.
It's good to be back, Ryan, for another week, and I guess going to get ready for number 100 next week. I might have to make an appearance for that one.
Is this really Bo? It doesn't sound like Bo.
It is. I'm not in the car. I'm at home. So,
okay.
You may be used to me being in the car.
May, that's probably what it is.
Yeah, you're used to cell phone, Bo. We got landline, Bo, today. No, I don't know. I'm just joking. But nonetheless, our resident referee, Bo Anderson, always so good to take time with us to take us through some of the situations that maybe you're not all that familiar with, to explain the game administration from an official's perspective, not just rules, but also all the other things that officials are and sometimes aren't responsible for on the floor. So, Bo, over the course of the past week, anything stick out to you?
Well, no, not too bad. I worked a couple of games in the Christian State tournament yesterday, and nothing really. What I would like to do before I do a couple more plays, do the one that we did last week, and then have another one for you for next week. I just want to remind everybody. Players, coaches, everybody, it's tournament week is, basically starting with sectional girls and then boys. And I think it's a good time to remind everybody that, they need to keep their cool out on the court and don't do anything silly where they have to sit out a couple of games. If you get, ejected, you would be setting 2 games, so that might mean if you've still got regular season games left, you may sit out your sectional. Or, if you do something silly in the sectional, you may sit out another sectional and a regional, or you may sit out a regional in the state if your team is lucky enough to make it that far. So, I think that's a thing that I always try to stress towards the end is, just go out there, should be the best time that you're playing your best basketball, and don't do anything silly to make officials have to, call technicals and put people out of the game when they really don't want to.
Hey, Bo, this might be a good time to challenge the PA announcers across the state. I tried to do it tonight, especially with all that's been going on. After, when you do the intros and stuff, encourage folks to show school spirit and good sportsmanship that you are at a high school basketball game.
Again, and talked about last week, and we've had some scenarios here lately that have not been very good for the game. And, we got to get back to being that way where, the student body is involved heavily with the cheering of their team and not degrading someone or doing something that they shouldn't be doing. I always enjoy having good student bodies from both sections at a game. It's great to do that. You like to officiate that. You don't want to officiate a game like it's a funeral. You want a lot of noise. And, we've all been in those gyms where it's very quiet, but, the noise helps. It encourages both teams to play hard, and, there's nothing like it. And, yeah, Joe, just showing good sportsmanship throughout the entire season and now into the tournament. And then, if you make it to the Civic Center or to Charleston, then obviously, you are the show and you need to act a part.
Bo, you mentioned you worked a couple of the games in the WVCAT tournament. I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, but talk about dealing with the kids from the Christian schools as you officiate as opposed to the kids from the public schools.
Well, the only difference, they don't have a governing body as much as the SSAC with us or the OHSAA with Ohio or Kentucky, all have governing bodies. Now, they do have one, and they do obey by, the federation rules. They do, everything, uniforms, all that. So it's not really a whole lot of difference. They come out. Some teams have cheerleaders. It's really pretty much the same thing. Obviously they're just playing on teams that are just not in the WVSSAC. So really there's no difference. They play at Summersville at the Armory. It's kind of got a small, tight civic center setting where the court is big and it's open on both ends, and then they've got seats on both sides. It's a nice facility to have it in, and I think they got great scoreboards, and it's a big deal, and they go out and play it just like any of the SSAC schools would. They're out there playing at 100% and trying to make it to the final day.
All right, Bo, as we move forward now, one thing I do agree with Joe, and I'm gonna try to work on it myself. We need to come up with just a little quick read for public address announcers of sportsmanship. Don't have to go too deep into that, but just give a nice solid read and just remind everyone why we're there to begin with. But nonetheless, I'm calling this our Bo Knows segment. That's I'm not that original. I'm not that creative.
KNOWS.
Yes, but not Bo's nose, but Bo Knows. And so you had a question for us last week. Lay it out for us again.
Okay, we had a held ball, and it's A1's ball on the possession arrow, and A1 reaches through the plane, and B1 grabs the ball on the inbound side, and we have another tie-up. whose ball is it? How does it affect the error? And what do you have? Handle the situation.
All right, here's where you get to make fun of me again. I think you have a delay of game warning. Would you have a delay of game warning against B?
I'm thinking it
Ryan,
maybe.
I tell you what, our class starts in October.
I think I need to attend at this rate.
You need to come and be a part of it. No, you're not even close.
All right.
B-ball?
A1 reaches through the inbound side with the ball. That means B1 can grab the ball, take it, and score a basket. Anytime the ball's put through the plane to the inbound side, it's anybody's basketball. Now, A1 had the ball in the possession arrow, and A1 reached through, and B1 tied it up. It's still Team A's ball because the possession error doesn't switch until the throw-in has legally been done, which means released directly onto the court and then touched, or in the other half of that is if the throw-in is violated. It hasn't been violated. So it's still going to be A's ball until A gets that throw-in in, and then the arrow will switch the next time.
So you can have 8 jump balls in a row without the ball being inbounded, and they would all go to the same team.
Yes, you sure could.
And you probably would have some angry fans.
The only way that you violate the throw-in on an alternating possession error, the only way you lose that is to violate that. So even if you had a held ball and it's A's ball and A's taking it out, and A1 is throwing the ball in bounds, but before they get it in, A2 pushes off to get the pass. You got a foul on A, but the possession error still stays to A because the throw-in for that possession error has not ended.
See, Bo, I might not know all this stuff, but I pick up on it pretty quick. It all that makes perfect sense now that you explain it. Yeah, I'll remember that one for some time. All right. This week's Bo Knows question. Hit us with it.
Okay. A1 is shooting the free throw, and obviously the defense is allowed to have 4 players in there, so 4 B players are in the mark lane spaces, and A1 gets the ball, and as they're getting ready to shoot, all 4 of B's players turn their back on the free throw shooter. What do you have? Do you have anything? I'll let you handle that next week.
All right. Well, we may have figured out a new way to play free throw defense here. We'll find out. Bo Anderson, resident referee. Thanks so much for joining us tonight, Bo.
All right, guys. I'll see you next week for the 100th show. I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely. Look forward to seeing you here next week. We're going to step aside, take a break. When we come back, we'll get our power ratings. We'll get a scoreboard update. We will get a poll question. We'll have cause time, and then we will eat. This is Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
For scores online, all of them in West Virginia, visit basketballnight.com. Well, you got a few minutes left, and you can vote in this week's poll question. Should home and away sections be clearly designated and separated in high school gyms? Our website, basketballnight.com. Poll questions on the right-hand side of the page, and you got till 11:45 tonight. Big thank you to all the radio stations carrying Basketball Friday Night throughout West Virginia, including 104.1 FM WVXS in Romney, 92.5 FM WZAC Madison, Danville, Charleston, 105.5 FM WKQV Cowan, and heard in Braxton County on 106.9 FM, 91.5 FM WRSG Middleburn, 102.3 FM WMTT Hinton, 740 AM, 106.5 FM WRNR Martinsburg, 1360 AM, 97.1 FM WHJC Matewan, Williamson Belfry, 1600 AM, 98.1 FM WKKX Wheeling, 1370 AM, 97.7 FM WVLY Moundsville, 101.1 FM WVWPLP Wayne, 92.3 FM WYRC Spencer, and 103.7 FM WQWV in Fisher. We thank all the radio stations throughout the Mountain State carrying Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. We want you to follow us on Twitter at @hoops_roundup, @hoops_roundup. Shout out to Robin Smoot, Elijah Heads, and Madison Brown. They joined us on Twitter and are now part of the Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia family.
This is high school basketball's home for the Mountain State. Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia on the Fast Break Sports Network. Now, back to your hosts, Bill Cornwell, Joe Linville, and Ryan Epling.
11:39 on this Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia.
Wide
We're just cruising right in here, aren't we?
All you think about something to eat. I mean, we just had
we had a sampler.
We had a candy sample.
We had a teaser.
Yep.
And yes, it was phenomenal too. All right. So we need to do a lot of things still. So let's first start out with our final check of the basketballnight.com scoreboard. Looking for scores? Look no more. Visit basketballnight.com. Joe, you got the boys' games.
All right. It was Parkersburg falling to Hurricane tonight, 60-51 in the MAC. It was East Hardy knocking off Moorfield by 10, 67-57. Seth Smith scored 20 points in that game. It was Pocahontas falling to James Monroe tonight, 74-51. Pendleton County over Paw Paw, 77-46. Another big win for the Chapmanville Tigers tonight, 105-52 over the Wayne Pioneers. Charleston Catholic knocked off Tug Valley, 59-46. It was Clay Battelle over Madonna, 70-47. Berkeley Springs falls tonight to Elkins, 58-36. Kaiser over Allegheny, Maryland, 73-54. Greenbrier East, the Spartans pick up a win tonight over Oak Hill, 64-51. Greenbrier West over Richwood, 89-46. It was Harmon over South Harrison, 80-70. Martinsburg picks up a big win over Hedgesville tonight, 48-42. Winfield picks up a win over Herbert Hoover tonight, 62-52. It was Indian Creek, Ohio, knocking off the Brook Bruins, 53-49. Lincoln County picks up a win over Mingo Central tonight, 72-65. That game went into overtime. The Wildcats keep moving right along. They go to 17-5 on the season with the win over Sissonville, 71-58 in that Cardinal Conference matchup. Huntington St. Joe, the Fighting Irish, or the Irish rather, knocks off Man tonight, 62-53. Morgantown, the Mohegans, big win over Fairmont Senior. The Polar Bears fall 72-33. It was Parkersburg South over Lindsley, 64-37. Bridgeport falls to Robert C. Byrd, 53-45. The Skyhawks in the game we talked about a few minutes ago, going to overtime, knocks off Cardinal Conference foe Nitro, 89-85. Sherman, the Tide, pick up a win tonight over Riverview, 66-58. Musselman goes on the road to knock off Spring Mills, 45-43. Another tight one over in the Panhandle. Washington picks up a win over Jefferson, 67-62. It was East Fairmont over Weir, 57-47. West Carter, Kentucky, knocks off Tulsa, 97-75. Shady Spring, the Tigers rebound, and now at 20-1 on the season with the win over Westside, 72-56. Bluefield, the Beavers, they are rolling along as they go to 19-3 with a big win over Wyoming East, 94-44. And Tays Valley Christian falls to Grace Christian tonight in 75-67. Grace will now play Calvary in the WVCAT championship.
Girls scores tonight, and there aren't that many, but we'll knock these out real fast. MSAC 9th place game, it was Riverside defeating Capital 49-29. Sectional tournament play, Region 4, Section 1. Williamstown defeats Work County 83-44. Also in Region 4, Section 1. It was Wahama 49, Ravenswood 34. Regular season game, Frankfort defeats Grafton 73-47. It was Valley Wetzel winning a Region 1 Section 1 game over 100 tonight, 71-38. And Richwood defeats Mountain View 65-43. That a regular season game. And as a check your basketballnight.com scoreboard. We're in a hurry. We don't have a lot of time. Let's go over to the score desk to Marcus Constantino with this week's power ratings and a preview of episode 100.
Thank you, Ryan. Whole lot of changes to go over in the girls basketballnight.com power rating. Starting off in AAA, Parkersburg Big Reds are the new number 1 at 16-5. Greenbrier East drops 1 to number 2. Wheeling Park stays put at number 3. Cabell Midland Knights are 15-5 at number 4. They jump up 2 spots while Woodrow Wilson stays put for number 5. In girls AA, Frankfort Falcons also taking over number 1. They're 20-1. North Marion drops 1, 21-1 to number 2. The Winfield Generals are 19-2 at number 3. Fairmont Senior 17-4 moves up 1 spot to number 4, while the Wayne Pioneers drop 1 to number 5. In girls single A, St. Joe staying put at number 1. They're 19-1. Parkersburg Catholic is 22-0 at number 2. Wahama is number 3. Pocahontas County 4. And the Summers County Bobcats jump up 1 to round out the top 5. Now for the basketballnight.com boys power ratings. University Hawks are 17-3. They stay at number 1. Martinsburg up 1 spot to number 2. Morgantown down 1 to number 3. Cabell Midland stays put at number 4, and Hedgesville also at number 5. In boys AA, Shady Spring is 20-1 at number 1. Chapmanville at number 2 is 19-2. The Robert Seabird Eagles are 18-2 at number 3. Bluefield Beavers up 2 spots with that win over Shady to get to number 4. And the Logan Wildcats drop 1 spot to number 5. In Class Single A, boys basketballnight.com power ratings, Williamstown Yellow Jackets are 20-1 at number 1. Greater Beckley Christian 16-4 at number 2. Wheeling Central is at number 3. Charleston Catholic up 1 to number 4, while the Pendleton County Wildcats drop 1 spot to number 5. That's your basketballnight.com power ratings. You can see all the ratings right now on our website, basketballnight.com.
All right, you're also going to preview the 100th episode.
You tee me up for that, Ryan.
You're already there.
Okay,
Get right on going.
Here I go. So next week, of course, is episode 100 of Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Our first episode was December of 2013, and we've come a long way since then. And we want you to tell us what the show has meant to you over these past 7 years. And so we're inviting all of our listeners, players, coaches, or anyone who's been associated with the show. You can give our phone line a call anytime after the show's over tonight. That's 855-78-HOOPS, 855-784-6677, and it'll let you leave a voicemail. And so what we're asking our listeners and viewers to do is to call, leave a voicemail, introduce yourself, and just talk about, what the show has meant for you, what it's meant, to the state, and just talk about, give us a good message, if you will, for our 100th show. We'll be playing some of those on the air. And so, again, we invite you to call 855-78-HOOPS throughout the upcoming week and leave us a message.
All right, thank you very much, Marcus. We have to step aside and take a break. When we come back, we will get our poll question and cause time as we wrap up another Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. After this, on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Every Friday night from 9 to midnight, we're the home for high school basketball in the Mountain State. This is Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Next week, it's episode 100, and we hope you'll join us for the celebration. Big thank you to all the radio stations carrying Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia, including 92.3 FM WYRC in Spencer, 103.7 FM WQWV in Fisher, 92.5 FM WTHM LP Ravenswood Ripley, 106.7 FM WHFI Linside, 93.9 FM WRRR St. Mary's, 104.5 FM WASP-LP in Huntington, 1290 AM, 101.9 FM, WVOW in Logan, 101.7 FM, WYAP-LP in Clay, 98.5 FM, 101.5 FM, WQAZ, Edmond, Beckley, 90.7 FM, WFGH Fort Gay, 950 AM, WBES Charleston, and Marshall University's flagship station, 88.1 FM, WMUL in Huntington. A big thank you to all of the radio stations carrying Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia throughout the Mountain State. And of course, you can go to basketballnight.com and you can see our high-definition video. We're on YouTube, Facebook Live, and Periscope. And in the Huntington region, we're on Suddenlink. We're on Comcast Channel 25, Armstrong Digital Channel 204. Suddenlink, well, maybe next year. We'll be there soon. Thank you for listening to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia.
Celebrating high school basketball around the Mountain State. You're listening to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia on the Fast Break Sports Network. Now, back to your hosts, Bill Cornwell, Joe Linville, and Ryan Epling.
It's 10 till, which means we have 9 minutes of program left on Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. We obviously want to spend a lot of time talking with our good buddy Rick Kozlowski because, unfortunately, we've cut him short like 3 times this year, and I hate that. So let's go back over to the score desk. It's time for our poll question with Landon Mitchell.
Thanks, Ryan. Last week's poll question was, should home and away sections be clearly designated and separated in high school gyms? 82% of you said yes, while 18% of you said no. This week's poll question is a multiple choice question, and it is, which boys classification is the most competitive? AAA, AA, or single A? Go to basketballnight.com to cast your vote.
Thank you very much, Landon. Always appreciate talking with him. And before we go to Rick, and we're going to set this up because we will talk about this with Rick as well. But, Bill, you have been following along with a bill in the legislature that would affect athlete eligibility in West Virginia.
Well, it's very interesting. You've got a Senate version and a House version of this. And you might remember last year when this came up, the WVSSAC was pretty adamant, opposed across the board to it. Well, this year, they've actually gone to the legislature and have worked with some of the folks in the House on their bill. And right now, if the House version would be approved, it would require homeschool students who want to participate in extracurricular activities, they would be required, first off, to accept full supervision from the WVSSAC and the county school boards, and they would have to take one virtual school class, which is a public school class, an online class, to be eligible. Now, the Senate version does not call for that, and that this also has kind of gotten the ire of some of the homeschool organizations who, they don't want to have anything to do with the public schools as far as their classes, so they're not very happy about this, but it passed out the House Education Committee with a lot of support, and it's on the House floor right now. And of course, if the House passes, it will go to the Senate.
So that's something to keep an eye on. Rick Kozlowski, Martinsburg Journal, joins us now on Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. There you go, Rick.
Let the good times roll.
I wasn't expecting that one.
Oh, my.
Rick Kozlowski, the Martinsburg Journal, with us for Cause Time here on Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. We let the good times roll.
Hey.
But go ahead.
So I have an answer to the newest poll question.
Yes.
Which is the most competitive class? I'm going to say 4A.
Oh, that's a stickler.
There you go. Very, very well done.
Coming to a screen near you.
Doing this evening?
Yes, hey, we're doing fantastic and hope you are as well. We were talking just before we came to you here on the phone that about the Tim Tebow bill and how it's sort of taken a little bit of a different appearance in the West Virginia legislature. I know I don't expect you to get too detailed in that right now, but your thoughts on the possibility of children who are homeschooled becoming student athletes and playing for public schools?
Well, the Tebow bill has kind of been around in some ways for maybe 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's reached a point where they voted on it and approved it or not approved it. And when you got these two different versions, my thought is, and I could be totally off base here, but when you convene the Senate and the House, will they be able to come to some sort of an agreement before the session is over? I think it's just going to be one more impediment to prevent this from coming reality.
All right, I think this is one of those things where I'm just throwing this out, but there are dozens of options, and you're going to be hard-pressed to find a majority agreeing on any one of them.
Well, that's kind of what I think. It's how do conference committee get together and decide what is the best way to do it? Because when you look at the two bills, there's some decidedly different kinds of things in there, and and I think maybe when you look at the fact that the SSAC has kind of become involved a little bit, I don't want to say they're giving up, but I think they're resolute in saying, okay, then this is going to happen. Let us have some kind of voice, and let us make a recommendation and see how this thing can play out and actually benefit the schools as well as homeschool youngsters.
And Rick, if you have to feed the dog, go ahead. But nah, it's all right. Martinsburg, Hedgesville tonight.
Well, actually, I'm watching her outside at the moment.
I actually thought that might be the case there because it sounded like you were moving around. I kind of figured that's what was happening at the moment. And, hey, such is life, right? But Martinsburg gets a big road win tonight. Their boys beating Hedgesville.
Oh, what a game it was. It was a very physical, defensive type of contest. I mean, kind of reminded me of the old Big East when the Big East was like, no blood, no foul. Both halves, neither team reached the bonus, even though it was a physical game and just incredible defense. Martinsburg had control until about 4 minutes left. Hedgesville cuts it to 1, and then a couple of unlikely players from Martinsburg come through with some big baskets. Trey Sager with a 3-point play, and then Anthony Smith was out there. Looks like he's going to shoot a 3-pointer, and everybody's thinking, what is he doing? It's late in the game. He swishes it, and all of a sudden everybody's like, okay, well, that's great shot. But Martinsburg's two leading scorers, both around 18, 19 points, were held to 7. So, you found some contributions from some other people. Garrett Stobbs, who didn't start tonight, came off the bench, and he had some big rebounds. He's not a rebounding kind of player, but he had some huge rebounds, including one at the end of the third quarter, which helped, and he got a putback and made it a 5-point game, and it was a huge difference right there. But just a great game by a couple of very good teams. Martinsburg, of course, ranked second in the state AP poll, and Hedgesville fifth. It's what you expect from a top 5 type of game.
Absolutely, and a good tight ball game between those two sectional rivals. There's a good chance they'll meet again. Of course, Musselman could play spoiler, and Musselman struggled tonight with Spring Mills.
I cannot figure out Musselman. You look earlier in the week, they go to Buchanan Upshur, lose in overtime on President's Day. Then the next day, they play University, and they're leading University into the fourth quarter before University comes away with a victory. And tonight they play a Spring Mills team that I think is starting to get a little bit of footing under a new coach, and a football hero comes through for the Appleman, Blake Hartman, who hasn't played most of the year as he was suffering from that football injury, and he's back in the lineup, but he gets put back, and at the buzzer they win the game. But, certainly, you look at Musselman, they could be the spoilers. It's just, it's cold outside right now.
Sounds like you're breathing a little heavy.
She doesn't want to come back in either.
Go around the block again.
This could be, it's 26 right now in Martinsburg, according to my handy-dandy weather forecast right here. But, Rick, we're out of time. Episode 99 in the books. We'll talk with you next week.
Okay, well, that's a big 10-4, guys.
Yeah, look forward to, good luck catching the dog, getting back inside. Too.
Get inside.
It's cold, yes, absolutely. Our good buddy Rick Kozlowski of the Martinsburg Journal. That does it. One more episode in the books. 4 more to go this season. Next week, 100. We hope you'll be with us then. This is Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia.
Thank you for listening to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Tune in next Friday for the latest high school basketball action from across the Mountain State. Visit basketballnight.com for our show archives, the poll question of the week, and the basketballnight.com scoreboard. Until next time, have a great weekend, and thank you for listening to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. The preceding broadcast was a presentation of the Fast Break Sports Network. Copyright 2020. All rights reserved.